that didn't work. Anyways, we're back. Welcome back.
Mar-a-Lago.
Lagos. But anyways, here we are. The Matrix Network. We are on, activated, and here. I think you guys will like this week's episode. It's just a premise, a first step into what I was talking about before the new year, about how I'm going to start going down what can be programmed. And this week, we're just touching the surface of the first thing that every power, it doesn't matter what it is, power dynamic, any ruling power, when they want to control, the first thing they have to do is administer a narrative, a psyop. So this week's episode, you guys will hopefully enjoy it. It's 187, Signals of a Psyop. And then next week, 188, the schematics of a psyop. I'm going to break down the history of psyops, the technicalities of how they function in more specific manners, and through American history, legit operations, so that you can see and understand how to avoid being sucked into the psyop matrix. But I think you guys will enjoy it. I think this little series is going to be nice because after psyops, we're going to go to the next thing that they program. But this week and next week is psyops. And Noah's here, and he says he's a psyop.
We already knew that.
I'm a cyclops.
Tell us something we don't know.
But David Zerm says I can't read it, stimulated or simulated, where I was created by ones and zeros. Well, he's here. The frequency has manifested.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, I put that up because David Zerm requested it. But yeah, I'm going to continue with that too. Is every week I'm going to put out one old episode and one new one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed those nostalgia moments of those old episodes are great. When you go back and watch it, those were good times too.
Oh, they're classics.
Yeah, I know. Ted B says he's drinking a Coke Zero. He should be drinking a Coke One. Got to get turned on.
Zeros and ones like David.
You don't want to get turned off.
Yeah.
But you guys chime in on what you guys want to talk about. If somebody wants to join in on the live, Ted B, Noah Cloud, David Zerm, we ain't seen you. You can always chime in too, Mr. Zerm.
Or even Iron Man. He could always.
And I don't even know if that's his name. I don't want to say Mr. Zerm. I don't know if that's a derogatory term, but yeah. Anybody, if you guys want to, let me know. I'll put the link in. But yeah, this week's been interesting. We actually talk about it. The Minnesota shooting and the Venezuela stuff, and utilizing that as premises of understanding and examining some of those things. Of clearly, there's psyop material being propagated. And I don't want to elude the fact, like I say in this week's episode, every single thing is not a psyop. But you can always say everything has an agenda. You're not speaking unless you're trying to sway, persuade something. Even a contribution, if you're having a dialogue and you're being still cordial, you're still trying to persuade at least your perspective. But it doesn't have to be a psyop. You're not trying to play psychological games. But rhetoric is a means of playing a psychological manipulation.
Well, it's funny. The Spanish or Latin prefix con means with. So if you're having a conversation, it's because there's two versations going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the Spanish for versation?
I don't know. Maybe version. So you're having the conversions, two versions, and now they're joining together, kind of like a connection. So you have two nections that are conning. They're coming together.
It's like
or you said like a contribution.
This tribunal.
Conquest. And you are now going on a quest with
conqueror.
Yep.
So you're a con, and then you're a currer.
Yeah.
Like curry.
Yeah. Conquer.
You don't like curry.
I hate curry personally, but that's just me.
I like curry. Now, I ain't like those British people where they put curry sauce on everything. Like, they don't even say Chinese food. It's like, I got Chinese. It's like, wow, that sounds illegal. You got a Chinese, huh? But, that's neither here nor there. They have their own lingo. But they put that curry sauce on everything. I love curry. I don't want to say love. I like curry, but not like that.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Well, that turmeric gets to you.
Yeah, well, it just tastes like top ramen. Curry to me tastes like somebody put way too much top ramen seasoning in one dish. It's like overbearing chicken flavor top ramen.
What about like buttered chicken? Not butter sausage.
Yeah, chicken.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about buttered chicken?
Butter my sauce.
I've never had it before.
Most people like that. Like a traditional, I don't even know if it's traditional, but a classic takeout food from an India restaurant would be get some naan, some garlic naan, with some buttered chicken, some white rice. It's pretty good. I think you might like it. It's not too overpowering.
I've tried everything I've tried from India doesn't ever taste good.
Yeah, you can't watch those clips.
I'm saying I everything I've tried from Indian restaurants.
I'm sure you like the naan. It's just basically bread, like garlic bread. It's like a flatbread.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if I tried. I don't know if you can go wrong with just like garlic seasoned bread.
Personally, I don't really like Greek food either.
What about garlic bread?
I've tried a lot of Greek food.
You don't like garlic bread?
Yeah, I do. I like garlic bread.
Yeah. You can't really go wrong with bread.
No, I'm not talking about bread, though. We're talking about what people do with bread.
Well, even that. It's like if you just got some bread with some seasoning, you can't go wrong with that. It's pretty good.
Well, it depends on what kind of seasoning you're putting on it.
Just garlic seasoning, garlic herbs.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I don't like Somalian food either.
I never had it, so I can't say it. But shout out to Mayor Fry.
Yeah, I guess if I haven't had Somalian food, but based on the mayor's face expressions trying to eat it, that was really tough. Like, I could actually taste it through his mouth. And don't ask me how. I just can. It's kind of like a Stranger Things thing. Like, I can actually feel it. I can even, like you can almost feel it going down his throat.
You're attached like Velcro.
Yeah.
Or Vectar or whatever his name is.
Yeah, like congenital twins.
Like genital twins.
No, it's so it's with genital.
I guess every male has genital twins.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not true. Some people, they may not be born with genital twins. They just are born, they're a single child.
Either way, congenital is you're actually born with.
What a start to the episode.
Yeah, we're speaking Venezuelan.
Mm-hmm.
We're speaking French.
Yeah. We're getting into it. We're multi-diverse over here. We don't hate, but that doesn't mean we participate either.
No, it's true.
Yeah. So Ted B says he wants to know, do you like any ethnic food?
Yeah, I like.
Oh, there's two.
I used to like Chinese food a lot, but after having so much Panda Express, I kind of shifted my thinking on that. I like Korean food. I think I like some Japanese food. I don't ever mix the two.
Learned well.
Yeah, I like some French food. I like French fries, French toast.
French bread,
like we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all kinds of what's that soup, that black stuff to give you like with a
soy sauce?
No, it's I think French dip.
French onion.
Yeah,
soup.
Oh yeah, French onions. I don't like everything French, of course, but I do like some of it.
You like French women?
No. I think my wife is a testament of that.
Not your like first, second, and third wife, which he explains in this week's episode. He had to get triple X to get to his fourth one.
Shout out to Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I'm more experimental. I like trying all kinds of things. And I'll give everything a shot. But that doesn't mean I like it. But I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I grew up eating Hispanic food, though. My mom, she was Mexican, so she made the best rice, beans, tortillas, all homemade.
Yeah, see, for me, Mexican food's a little too hearty. Like their version of mashed potatoes is pinto. We call those the pinto beans, but you smash them. Is you guys
refried beans?
Yeah, refried beans. That's
you have to refry them.
Yeah, that's a little too that's a little too hearty for me. But
I like it.
Mexican food always gets me congested.
Yeah.
But
all the cheese.
Like Koreans, they have their version of sushi. It's called kimbap. And they don't use really raw fish, but like the Japanese people, they have sushi, which is usually the raw fish. Not always that, but
And tofu, which isn't fish, but yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, now Koreans do eat raw stuff. Like you'll see those videos of them eating like those baby alive octopus dipped in like gochujang, like it's a pepper paste. So they eat raw things too like that. But yeah, there is a difference on those type of foods. But
I just like how fresh Korean food tastes. No matter where I get it. It seems like kimchi and all that. Whenever I have, maybe it's just American Chinese food, and that's probably, I've never been to China, but American Chinese food, it's always very greasy and very heavy.
Well, that's how Americans would want it. It's really, a lot of Oriental foods are soups. And soups are light, refreshing. They're very industrial people, the Asians. So they can't eat all this really heavy, dense food. So they eat a lot of soups, a lot of rice, a lot of vegetables. But a lot of that's cultural, when you live in more impoverished times. Vegetables are more plentiful. Meats are always more expensive. So
yeah, but the Chinese people eat that fried rice.
Yeah, right. But it's usually a lot more light. It's not like what American people get. Everything's heavy, dense, oil saturated. Everything's fried. If you got a bunch of soups and stuff, like Japanese people eat miso soup, which is a light version of fermented soybeans. And then Koreans would eat something called doenjang, which is a heavier, more dense version than a miso soup. It's basically the same thing. But
you come to America, though, and you get a bunch of their food is just thicker.
Yeah, like their soups is thick, like stews. And, Asian cultures have
chili.
stews too, but it's not like that. Like it's really like dense.
See, I like dense and thick, too, as long as it's not just pure grease. Like I don't want half it to be grease. Like
another thing, like French onion soup's made from oxtails. And that's real good. And that's classical in Asian food, too, using oxtail broth. But yeah, it's usually not dense. They usually take all the fat out and scoop all the fat out. It's too dense. Anyways, yeah. We just went down again, this introduction to this episode. It's just been all over the place. And I'm sure me eating this sour over here, probably in this microphone, wasn't very useful. You can have the last two. It's fine. I got packs and packs.
Well, Ted says time to get your fix in 2026.
What do you get your fix on, Mr. Ted?
Probably that Diet Cola he was talking about. The zero sugar.
Yeah.
But it's all aspartame.
Yeah.
Or stevia.
See, that's a whole psyop too. When you deal, we don't talk about it this week, but next week I will, because psyops are not limited to governments. They're in advertising, they're in religious constructs, they're in rhetoric, they're in anytime there's a power dynamic to play, there has to be this narrative. You can call it false or not, but there's a narrative to play to cause you to choose a side. It's tribalism in action.
Thankfully, though, they're not in the music industry.
Oh, they're there too. Look at Spotify.
Look at Taylor Swift.
I mean,
but she's not a psyop.
Even the streaming industry itself is a weird flip for the recording industry, because they used to have this dominancy on distribution. Like you could make your own music, but how do you get CDs out to millions of people? You need distribution. And this is why people would sign up for record labels, because without that, yeah, you can sell in your little area these physical CDs, a couple thousand here and there. But if you want to sell millions, you need a distributional network, and they were all owned by record labels. So to get famous, you always have to sign your soul away to these record labels, which is basically all your bonuses were just debts to pay back the advertising they would promote for your distribution. But with streaming, that's not the case. But Spotify has found a way to manipulate that. Now, instead of they can sell, one stream, but you have to sell you have to have listeners of listening to 1 million streams to start justifying some form of payout. And so, but this really puts a stronghold on physical media. But all of these things are narratives. And so, it's everywhere. But yeah, like you saying with aspartame, think about what happened in the 60s. That psyop. They were trying to tell you, everybody was using butter. Everything was cooked in butter. Everything was using beef tallow. And then they figured out how to mass produce anhydrous or powdered or sugar.
I actually still can't believe it's...
But what they did was they replaced a lot of the butter with sugar. Sugar's so much cheaper. And then they started making the demonization of fat. Everything became fat-free. You need to buy this fat-free. And so then everybody went to that, and it was cheaper. And so they demonized that.
Yeah, but it's that fatty lipids that we actually need, the DHS.
You got me. You got me.
DHA.
Yeah, fish oil.
Not DHS. DHA, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that fatty lipids that we actually need.
Yeah, but see, if they want to push out the narrative, they have to demonize. It's always about a narrative to choose a side. And demonization, tribalism at play. You want to be on the right side of history, or you need to be on the
not the left side,
winning side. You got to be with the good people. And then so you have these weird dynamics of information. So you have lobbyists. Is aspartame really good or bad? So then you have people who put out doctors. Of course, it's experts. It's always experts because you need experts to push out a legit psyop. You have experts saying aspartame is bad, and they'll tell you all this stuff and these studies, and you got to break down the logistics to see if it is. And then you have other groups. It could be lobbyists, people who are paid by sugar industries or food industries to say it's not bad. How do you really know if it's bad or not? You ain't, but you're stuck in a psyop. You're stuck in a matrix. And you now have to pick a side. And then what happens whenever you pick a side, you demonize the other one. You say, oh, yeah, I'm not like you people. I don't drink that aspartame, or MSG is another monosodium glutamate. It's like, nope, I don't do that. But the studies on both sides says monosodium glutamate is good for you in small. Some people say it's bad for you. Aspartame is the same way. And it's like, it's all over the place. And these are psyops. So they're everywhere. It's just not always governmental. Yeah.
True.
But anyways, we're going to get more into all of that the following week, next week. This week is just,
You're going to get your hands wet.
It was just perfect. I mean, literally we had 2 events to start off the year, the Minnesota shooting and the Venezuela stuff. So it's a perfect thing to just examine. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this little journey that we're going to go down for the next couple months, starting with PSYOPs, but we're going to move to the next thing. Anyways, I was going to say.
Ted B says, gird your loins.
Yeah, and mount, like Warren G say, regulators, mount up your upper crest.
What if they'd never been mounted before?
Well, then you don't have a crest.
I guess.
I mean, you got to have that family crest.
You have to have that mount.
Yeah, you got to have that brass
mantle.
Yeah, that thing you're shoving on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to be big.
You have to be a minute man.
Yeah, got to be full of marbles.
Yeah, like one pump man.
Yeah, one finger man.
Whoa. Wow, that sounds Venezuelan.
Yeah. Oh, that's Uncle Sam.
Mm. Yeah, he did give us the finger. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. That was part of propaganda, too.
Yeah, but he didn't realize that 4 fingers are pointing back at him.
He didn't care.
Like, literally, so he's pointing like this, and all 4, including his thumb, is pointing back at him. 4 fingers are pointing back at him. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh, here, hold on. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. So he has 3 fingers right here, and then he has his thumb, which usually you'd think is pointing to, like this, but no. All 4, even his thumb, he's double jointed, possibly even triple jointed. All 4 fingers are pointing back at him. And a lot of people don't realize that. He had to pay for every 1%, for every 1/5 we had to pay for taxes, he had to pay 4/5.
Or maybe he was just telling you for every 1/5 you pay, I get 4/5 of the remainder.
Yeah, I guess that could be it too.
Yeah, they call it the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
MIC.
Yeah.
Not MIB.
No. Yeah. Project Mike.
It is. That's why they say drop the mic.
Yeah. MIC.
Again, what an introduction.
What a performance. Ted B says, you should tell folks you're starting at 3 p.m. EST in 2026, but actually keep starting at 4 p.m.
Yeah, it's a psyop.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're paid to do by the government.
Yes.
He said, this was a little bit ago, he said, we're up to 3 watching. Woo. David Zerm says, I was simulated ready. Hit that thumbs up button. Yeah, I hit that.
It's a good opportunity.
Hopefully everybody else hit that too.
I'll just play them all at like the same exact time.
There you go.
Get overstimulated.
Yeah.
It's probably going to bother some people.
Well, they should have hit it too. If they didn't, they're missing out. Everybody in the room needs to hit it right now. Ted B says to David Zerm, simulated or stimulated? And then Noah Cloud says, are we here? And he says, I think I'm there. And then, Ted B says, yo, Noah. David Zerm says, simulated, where I was created by ones and zeros. Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm 2 nanometers deep.
Yeah. I'm a have-not.
You're a half-bot.
Noah Cloud says he's a psyop, and he said, what's up, Ted? Coke Zero. YouTube bot says hello. Ted B says conversation. From the Latin conversatio, meaning intercourse.
You know, I've heard that. I've heard a lot. You listen to scholars, regardless of what the subject matter is. I've heard that's like, are you having intercourse with the text?
That's how a lot of them read too.
Before
intercourse meant something Venezuelan. It used to mean actually having interaction.
And Ted, Tommy Boy says he's here.
Oh, hello, Tommy Boy.
No, not Tommy Goy.
Yeah, no, he fixed that a while ago. He was done with that goy slop. He's converted now.
He's back.
Yeah, he's a Jew.
Shout out to DARPA.
And you can always jump on.
Well, yeah, any of you guys can. Anytime you guys want, let me know. I'll punch in the link.
Yeah, we'll chomp on those gates. Dead B says, colleague, do you like any ethnic food? I already answered that. No Cloud says, what about Indian tacos? Yeah, I've had Indian tacos.
Like their fry bread?
It's basically, well, at least the ones I've had, it was made by some Crow people, and it's pretty good. Just flat bread with, they put it like all these pizza toppings on. It's basically a pizza. It's like a Indian version of pizza. But without the red sauce, like, and you don't have to have pepperonis. You can just put a bunch of tomatoes or cheese or lettuce or whatever really you want. And that's how they showed me how to do it. Now again, that probably isn't how every tribe does it, but I've heard the Cinnabon and the Sioux do it slightly different, but I think it's basically the same concept. Anyway, Ted B said, never mix your Asians. I don't. I also don't mix a pit bull with a Shih Tzu either.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. Ted B says, speaking of French, Brigitte Bardot just passed away. Oh no. Well, if you would send her my regards, I think.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Well, I don't either, but she apparently was a human being on Earth.
Bridget. Sounds familiar. Is that Macron's wife?
Probably.
I don't know. I think her name was Bridget.
Well, either way, you will send her my regards, won't you?
Well, of course. They're already there.
And yeah, I won't be able to pay my respects, so I don't have any yet. Ted B says, me so hungry. And then he said, bibimbap.
No, that's bibimbap.
Oh, yeah. Bibimbap. Then he said, Coke Zero, soda for diabetics.
Yeah, I guess that is one thing. I mean, if you're diabetic, that's pretty important.
But nothing's free. So I know if you're using some kind of sweetener, there is a cost.
Yeah.
For me, it's just nasty. I just can't stand stevia or.
But if you were diabetic, you really ain't got a choice. I mean, that's just one of those things. Like
I just wouldn't drink or eat sugar.
Right, but I'm saying if you did, I mean, you're just kind of limited. And I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to demonize anything. I'm just saying.
I just can't stand the flavor of sugar-free, zero sugar, all that stuff. I just can't stand
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I can't waste 500 calories on a drink.
Well, you're still getting it somewhere. They're still giving it to you in a different way.
Well, so
they're not giving you one kind of sugar, but they're giving you a different kind of sugar.
Yeah, but I don't have to worry about the calorie consumption. But that's fine. Again, that's the choice. So you have to demonize it. You have to say, oh, it's bad for you. But by whose standard? By some psyop being pushed out to tell you it's bad for you.
By this standard.
Yeah, but you don't know.
I would say that it tastes bad.
Yeah, but that's it.
So therefore, it is bad for my tongue.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. When people actually make moral constructs like, it's actually bad for you, you shouldn't do this. You are poisoning yourself. Well, which psyop are you buying into?
Ted B says, just looked up Indian tacos. They look real good. How am I going to find that near Philly? There might be some Native Americans in Philly. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been to Philly before, but
I'm sure they're everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they are native.
Yeah, but they're more prevalent in some places that I've lived than other places I've lived. Like, I've lived a lot of different places in the United States of A.
I'll tell you, if you just go on Facebook Marketplace, there's not a lot of good things for that. But if you want to look for, wow, that raspiness came out of nowhere. If you want to look for like any kind of takeout, there's always somebody selling a plate. Like, I'm going on Facebook Marketplace to maybe look for like a specific proprietary part. Do I need this or that or something? Or if somebody has like a bulk of wood or anything. But there's always somewhere within this line, you want to get a plate for $5 or a plate for $10, and it's some ethnic group. Doesn't matter, Mexican, some Indian, somebody's out there selling a plate.
That's probably the most realist too.
Right. So if you want to find a plate, you probably can find it on Facebook Marketplace.
Ted B says, saliva causes cancer, but only if swallowed in small amounts over a very long period of time.
I guess we all need to spit instead of swallow.
Yeah. Never spit in front of women or children. Noah Cloud says, I know it's bad if I feel crummy after eating it. Yeah, I guess there's that too. Talking about like the things that not just taste bad or maybe it tastes good, but you feel nasty after eating it. I
kind of feel bad after eating almost anything unless it's like like something fresh. Like if I eat
gochujang,
like fresh vegetables or something, because it's not. I mean, it feels like you're not really eating much of anything.
What about hotak?
Oh, hotak. Yeah, see, that's fried food, but You know,
I like this stuff.
anytime I eat anything dense, it's just heavy. But other people aren't. You know, people who are low on iron, they actually crave naturally a lot of red meat. And so, or it's just genetical. You know, it's something that's passed on genetically. You just have this longing and craving for red meat. And like Oriental cultures, it's very hard for them. It's like they crave rice. And it's a cliche. That's why you call them like ricers or whatever. But it's just this thing. Like Mexican people probably crave beans, like pinto beans and stuff. I think that's actually strange. It's like there's an embedded craving that it doesn't matter if you want it or not. You just have this craving for it. And it's diversely embedded. It's like genetic. That to me is very interesting. It's food. It's not a psychological operation. It's actually a genetical byproduct.
Yeah. Depends. Yeah. Some people have cravings and some people have hankerings. Ted B says, Noah, good yardstick. I use Crest toothpaste. Colleague, that's not natural. Man, with the thumb thing.
Thumb in or thumb out?
Thumb thing. I don't know. A sound effect with a punch button animation.
Oh, they're talking about when I put the thumb button on.
Maybe. Otherwise, you can clarify what you mean. That's not natural. It's actually supernatural. And it's not the first time I've heard that.
Tommy Boy says, I don't think they have cheesesteaks in the Matrix. Although, wait, I'm wrong. Steak was a plot point in the Matrix.
That's right. And ignorance never tasted so good.
That's why they say. And the harp plays right after. Ignorance is bliss.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Mm-hmm. So he thinks he's smooth because he redacts it. But he forgets we have it hardwired right here.
Mm-hmm.
Can't redact it off of here. We're on to you, DARPA.
Yeah, that's how you catch a tiger by his toe.
But not a mouse.
No.
Their toes are too small.
Well, we've definitely got this tiger, though.
You like sticking your hand in Winnie Pooh's honey jar?
No, not Krusty Krabs.
No. Or Piglet?
I'm about to play that video here soon.
Mm-hmm.
If we get to the end of the line. Ted B says, ready to go live. Tom, Noah, E.T., Al. And then put me in, coach. I'm ready. So Ted B's ready.
All right.
And then David Zimmer says, yeah, her name is Bridget Macron.
Oh, so it's not the same one. Yeah, I thought her name was Bridget.
Well, hopefully you guys sent my regards to the right mailing address.
They did.
Last time that got pretty sticky. Ted B. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Yeah, well, that's the end of the line. So I guess I might have to play Krusty Krabs.
Well, I'm going to invite a guest. And
well,
I'm going to put the thing on the line. And if you guys have anything, I mean, there's so many things that happened this week. If you guys want to break down any of those or talk about those events or any of it in specifics, you guys can just type in what you guys wanted to talk about. I'm trying not to overlap too much so you guys can enjoy this week's episode. But hey, if it happens, it happens. But yeah, anything you guys want to talk about in specifics about any of those things or anything else, just type it in the chat. But I'm going to post this link for anybody who wants to chime in. Just give me a second while a colleague posts up Krusty Krabs.
Another beautiful day at the Krusty Krab. Another day servicing the masses.
Oh, SpongeBob. They can't get enough. They want more. More of that secret formula. Oh. good. Doesn't it, Mr. Krabs?
Aye. It do, Mr. Squidward. It do. Sponge me, boy.
This thing is third base.
Secret formula.
Straight out of left field.
Is that good, Mr. Krabs? Is that how you like it?
Aye.
Imagine if your reality permanently was distorted like this.
But
He's sick.
Yeah,
the
literally.
salty dog wants even more. Can you feel that?
Oh, God. I can feel it, Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs is dipping his hand in the old honey jar, isn't he?
You can take as much as you want, Mr. Krabs.
No. Don't leave me out. I need you, SpongeBob.
That Jagger's on the next level.
Go on and get yourself a handful.
What happens when you eat too much of that secret sauce? They're eating the golden sauce. Shout out to McDonald's.
God, it's so fucking good.
Oh, he's on that level.
Take it.
I need more flavor.
Take it all.
Let me get a piece
Take
of
all of the
that.
secret formula.
This
Take all of the
shit's
secret
next
formula.
level.
Was that good for you? Did I satisfy you all?
Aye, you did, me boy. But you're all used up. Drained, me lad.
Our hunger is satiated for now, but we'll be back.
Yeah, that is definitely that. We got Ted B in the queue, but yeah, that is
Good television.
and it's hard to watch. That's next level.
It's hard to find good, wholesome content anymore.
You think so?
Yeah, I do, me boy. I do.
There he is, Mr. Ted B. Welcome back. Do you hear us?
Did that satiate you?
Do you hear us? Welcome back.
Hey, how you guys doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
So, are you a participant in SpongeBob's Golden Sauce?
Well, you know, SpongeBob. It's gold. I got to tell you, so I was watching that. All I could think of is I don't know if you guys are familiar with Cthulhu and that whole horror thing. It's all right. Well, it wouldn't mean anything. But if any of the folks out there are familiar with the whole Cthulhu mythos, man, that was straight out of it. Just weird and creepy. Yeah, otherworldly.
Well, Ted B wants to give out a fun fact. Today we're sponsored actually by not Ted B. I'm sorry, so I don't want to conflate the two. Tommy Boy wants to give out a fun fact. He's our sponsor this week, specifically by IARPA and DARPA, and he wants to let you know I took the autism test, and it turns out I'm on the spectrum. He's not surprised. LOL.
Who's on the spectrum?
Tommy.
Oh, that's
I like to call it a continuum, but each to their own.
yeah,
It's like, who is it on the spectrum nowadays?
yeah,
I think you're odd if you're not.
yeah. I'm thinking the same thing.
Well, you know, some people think it's a superpower. You know, what did Monk say? It's a blessing and a curse.
Mm-hmm. It's a jungle out there.
Yeah. So what's on your mind, Mr. Ted B?
Yeah, I just wanted to clear up a few things from the chat. Number one, colleague, the thing you did with your thumb when you were pointing, you're saying all four fingers go back.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not normal for your thumb to go all the way back there. I don't think that's normal.
Well, it's not actually. See, my hand is just like everybody else's. I'm a human, just like all y'all. See that? My hand is human hands, and I have opposable thumbs. But if the saying, if you're pointing your finger at somebody, you have 4 fingers pointing back at you.
And you have one pointing to the sky?
No, you have one. Yeah, I guess that's what they should say then. You have 3 fingers pointing back at you.
And one at God.
And one at God. So I guess, yeah, you're accusing the man upstairs, you're accusing the person you're pointing at, and then you're accusing yourself 3 times through. Or otherwise, if there's 4 fingers pointing back at you, then your thumb has to also point back at you.
This is too complicated. Yeah. I think that's why politicians,
I don't make the rules.
They do this. You notice how they do this?
Oh, they also do this.
Yeah, but usually when they're talking, they're like this.
Just don't put your hand out flat forward. That's bad.
No, I guess you could do this, but that has connotations.
Don't bend it.
It means stop.
Unless it's Elon doing it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Brigitte Bardot was a famous French actress and singer, actually, but she was popular in the 60s and 70s. And she was 91 when she passed just in December. So I know I'm showing my age, but
that's fine. Shout out to her and her family.
What shows and movies did you play in? Do you know?
It was mostly movies, but I wasn't like a big fan. I just remember her from the 60s and but mostly movies, a lot of black and white stuff because it was in the 50s and early 60s. It was mostly French. So, who watches French movies?
The French.
Not me.
French.
Maybe people of the Cthulhu tribe. I don't know.
Maybe Tommy Boy is onto something. He says everyone here is definitely on the spectrum. Maybe this channel just is like, it attracts those who have more hyper focus or a obsessive proclivity.
That'd be a good channel name, The Spectrum. And then when you
should change the name.
Yeah. Then when you get on, you're actually on the spectrum. Like people call you like, I can't talk right now, I'm on the spectrum. You can just tell people that.
That's why I like the word continuum better.
Yeah, but it has less fervor.
Yeah, I know, but it has less connotation too. Like Ted B's saying, it's overplayed. Everybody has this idea that they're on some type of spectrum. But
well, as long as people aren't using it as like some kind of victim thing, then that's the other thing. And I think that's where a lot of the younger generations tend to do that. Like they can't go to work on time because they're on the spectrum.
There was that thing they called it. We played an episode. Talked about
time blindness.
Yeah, time blindness.
Yeah, and it's because that itself, and then the boss is firing them for having time blindness or being on the spectrum or whatever.
Yeah, and then they get a lawyer, and then they're claiming that you have discriminated against me because I have time blindness. Yeah. I have time blindness too, but ain't no free rides for me.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. Well, you have anything on your mind? I know that there's been a lot going on.
Yeah, especially the past couple weeks because I wasn't able really to be on last week, so it's been a while. But man, this past week between the the whole Venezuelan thing, which is crazy, and then the shooting, which you mentioned already, in Minnesota, just lots of crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, I think those are very good examples, which I talk about in this week, the signals of a psyop. If you examine all this media dissemination, you'll see there's always pick and chooses of things. Like the thing that happened in Minnesota, there's those kind of incidents happening all the time, but they have to choose which things to magnify and they have the power of suppression and they have the power of progression or propagation. And so they have to choose these things, and it's always to create a dichotomy. It's like choose your side. And it's always a zero-sum game. That's the whole point of PSYOPs, which I talk more about in this week's episode, is you may, like an example would be that I talk about is, so you might support ICE in the sense that we don't want full open borders. But does that mean you support all the functions of ICE? Do you support this? Everything that they do? And you'll say, no, I think this, let's say you choose the side of saying this was murder. This wasn't justified. Well, then the other side will say, see, you don't support America. Now here comes the rhetoric of the PSYOP. If you don't support everything, you don't support anything. So it's a zero-sum game, and that's how the PSYOPs work. They challenge your moral functions so you can be morally compromised, so you already feel like, I have to give in because you've already started compromising. They force moral compromise, and it's a zero-sum game. That's why rhetoric traps are always the perfect function for a PSYOP. It's not about facts. It's about rhetoric. And the Venezuela thing is the same thing. But, yeah, I mean, that's... You guys tune in this Saturday. You guys will enjoy. I think next week you guys will probably enjoy also because I'm going to start breaking down the history and the actual PSYOP events that we know that happened and things like that. But this was just a primer. But colleague has a bunch of PSYOPs too that he wants to bring to the table. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. But anything specific about these events that you want to tap into?
Not particularly. I mean, you covered, some of the stuff earlier that I was thinking. Mentioning about coverage of things, though, there was something that occurred, if it was this week or last, that kind of caught my attention. I was surprised. There was an incident where there were a husband and wife that were members of Space Force, and they were away, and when they came home, their house was basically burned down, and their car was vandalized, and on the side of the car was written F Trump and F Space Force. And apparently the house was not vandalized. It was they broke in, they stole stuff, and then they set it on fire, and everything was ruined. They have I think a 5-month-old or something like that, and all the baby stuff was ruined. And it's interesting that something like this can happen, and yet we don't. I didn't really hear it on any other news sources. There was just one article I happened to catch, and I didn't hear it anyplace else. And apparently the governor of Pennsylvania, his house was attacked and firebombed. This was a while ago, and which is terrible as well, especially being the fact that him and his family and some guests were inside of it. Which I'm glad that there was a state trooper there that was, I guess, on patrol or whatever, but he was able to wake them and get them out. Which thank God that no one was injured, but still, there was damage. But it's just, you heard it all over in the news, and it's obviously because it's the governor. But then, you had these folks go through this, and it's like you don't hear anything, and it just seems very unbalanced. These terrible things happening, and both of them are terrible, absolutely terrible. But you hear about one, but you don't hear about the other.
Yeah, it always is interesting. I don't want to go to the extreme side like Alex Jones. He'll probably say everything's fake actors, everything's scripted. And I believe a lot of things are. But, you don't want to fall into the trap where you just think everything is. And so that's probably the dangerous, when you see things and patterns are obvious, you start having this proclivity of seeing patterns in everything. And, you don't want to fall into that trap because I fall into that a lot of times, and I have to always rectify myself and say, yeah, well, that ain't true. This isn't like the number 23 movie.
I think one of the benefits of being on the spectrum is the ability to recognize patterns very quickly.
Yeah, but then you also have you have to have that other ability, which is to say, if I'm the only one seeing this, I need to double check, triple check, quadruple check because I might be very much wrong. And then you don't want to propagate that information because if you're a voice of influence, you can get a lot of other people to go down this slippery slope that leads to the toilet bowl.
Well, it's tough because you might think you're the only one seeing it, but it's just because other people who are seeing it and talking about it online are being shadow banned. And there's a lot of people who are seeing what you see, but you just think that you're alone on this island. There's probably a lot of people who agree with what we're saying here. Like maybe we'll even just exaggerate and say maybe 95% of America believes like we do, but because the government is so good at shadow banning, we all believe that we're on an island.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, the main thing of a psyop is the narrative. It's a straw man. There's a straw man out there trying to scare crows, but the straw man is not a real person. It's a false narrative.
And it's not scary.
Well, to the crow it is.
Well, I'm not a crow.
Right. But to a lot of us, like we're posited as sheeps, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is that you're going to be led by somebody. And so controlling the narrative is important. So they have the power of suppression and propagation.
Well,
and so when you see consistent narrative, like Operation Mockingbird, you see these consistent narratives and every news channel and every, talking head is saying the same rhetoric. I mean, it's maybe everything's not, a conspiracy, but those things should be pretty obvious. But I'm talking about when you just say everything is false actors, conspiracies, everything. That's an easy thing to say.
Well, there are bad actors out there.
Of course. Yeah,
there's bad people, and I'm sure we've all experienced that in our own lives, seeing people do bad things, and it makes it easier to create psyops based on that when we know that it's true. It's like they're not making stuff up where it's like, oh, I've never experienced that. Like the UFO thing is tough because hardly any of us have ever seen a UFO or an alien. Some people claim they have, but I'm willing to bet there's next to no one that hasn't experienced something bad in their life. Like you were saying, a bad actor, colleague. And the truth is, you probably come in contact with people behaving badly almost on a daily basis. So that's an easy one to mimic.
No, yeah, and that's why, this week I just touch on it. I'm going to break more next week, but there's 3 types of psyops. If you look at the function, you have white psyops, gray psyops, and black psyops. White psyops are source relevant, like if the government tells you up front, we did this. Just because the source is real and reliable, that doesn't mean it's not a psyop. That's a white psyop. Then you have a gray psyop, which is it's an unreliable source, but propagated by a reliable source. Like if the government says, I have this source, but I can't reveal the source, but the source is telling me. Or a news reporter says, yeah, we just had this source tell me this, but I'm not going to really expose my source. That'd be like a gray psyop. And then a black psyop would be an unreliable source propagating the psyop, like a hacker dump. Or, you see protesters arguing against a construct, and then the next day those same protesters are saying, you know what, I changed my mind. And so now you have the antithesis of an unreliable source propagating the same psyop. So you see these if you pay attention to all this media dissemination. They're always there, but they intermingled these different types of psyops so it doesn't seem obvious. It seems like this is an organic thing. But a good operator that's functioning a very prolific psyop, they know how to do this. And who better knows how to do that than the government? And corporations, of course, corporations. Anything else on your mind, Mr. Ted B?
Nope. No, I'm good. Good to go.
I know Tommy Boy says, do you know how people say, show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are? Do you think people in the future will say, show me your psyops, and I'll tell you who you are?
Why do we have to wait for the future? I feel like
now.
Yeah, we can get that secret formula right now.
Yeah, because he's saying at this point, everything might not be a conspiracy, but everything might be a result of one.
That's deep. We're going to have to dig that.
Yeah, he's a wise Yoda.
Yeah, well, a lot of times, yeah, good.
Oh, no, you good.
I was just going to say sometimes it's you have to wait for the future to see if things are true or not because of evidence that comes out. We're looking at things like the Kennedy assassination, and when it happened, people were like, "Well, that's just the facts. That's what happened, right?" One guy was up in a building and shot him, but then all these other questions arise, and now here we are, so many years later, and I guess it's still kind of a mystery. I mean, because nothing has been proven. But my point is, there's a lot more information now that it's years later, and I think that's the point Tom is trying to make: is that will generations look back on us and knowing maybe by then they'll know what psyops were actually psyops, and saying, "Wow, I wonder which people believe them, which people bought into them, and which ones didn't," and that may tell future people what kind of folks were back here.
Yeah, it's like that clip I showed last week with them, future humans talking about us today, 3,000 years. Here's another different clip of the same documentary that's going to be coming out in the future.
Still having trouble translating their hieroglyphics. Their language was so...
Hold on. I'm going to have to turn this off real quick. I forgot.
Yeah, you got double Matrix playing.
Yeah, I know.
Trouble translating their hieroglyphics. Their language was so complex.
The terms goon or jelk, these are both nouns, verbs, sometimes adjectives, used in everyday speech, yet their meanings lost to time.
Perhaps terms of affection. I goon you. Have a nice jelk.
Many ancient tablets reveal mystic secrets.
Tablets of Roku, of Kindle, of Amazon Fire. These were the spells they would cast in their time. Of course, what we now call science.
This sock is perfectly fossilized.
Some mysteries remain unsolved.
The apple was certainly confusing. We theorize either it was lightly cooked on the top to increase its flavor, or it was used in an incense-burning ritual to speak with spirits on the other side. Either way, it was perfectly preserved. Just like this flower.
A warrior culture, one of bravery and litigious acumen.
One folk hero by the name of Saul, they would invoke him or call upon Saul's name in times of dire need.
That's Dobby from Harry Potter.
We're still having trouble translating.
Yeah,
That's the future generations. They're going to be looking back on us. Like, these guys talk to Roku and Amazon Kindle.
Well, that's kind of how we look at ancient civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
They talk to the sun or hybrid animal people or whatever. It probably wouldn't be much different. There I go again, trying to be literal. Yeah. You ever find yourself, Ted B., falling into social, tribalistical situations like the Stanford experiment? It's very simplistic, where you have a bunch of paid actors by the powers that are trying to control and narrative or an idea. And the old idea was you have all these people in here and there's a line and there's like 10 lines, and there's asking all these 10 people which line is the smallest line. And 9 of them are paid actors, so they pick the biggest line, and they say, that's the smallest line. But you're the only legit person there. And you now deal with this socialistic construct, which is, I don't see that, I don't believe that, but I can't be the only one wrong here. And so now you're just stuck with this dilemma. You don't want to be this weirdo, but at the same time, you absolutely know that everybody's wrong. So do you capitulate and just say, yeah, I guess that one, and you choose what they all did, even though you know it's wrong? Or do you fight the impulse and say, no, all of you are wrong, and it's answer one? You ever find yourself in that kind of analogy of just because this is a socialistical psyop. This happens all the time, just in tribalistical, our tendency of having social interaction.
Yeah, it's funny. While you were saying that, I was thinking it's every day of my life. Sometimes it feels that way. I haven't. I'm trying to think of specific situations that I've been in that may have been like that. I think it also depends on the social situation. I mean, if there were a bunch of strangers, as opposed to maybe if I was in a group of friends or family, I may react differently. Although I don't know. I honestly, I tend to try to call a spade. I mean, if I see something odd, I'm just going to say, hey, this doesn't seem right. Even if I don't make a big deal about it, I at least mention something. And yeah, I think it would be easier to do with family and friends because they're going to be more forgiving. If you do it with a bunch of strangers, you don't know what kind of reaction you might get, especially nowadays. You could set somebody off and wind up, getting hurt.
Yeah, now imagine when the cost gets higher. So it's somebody you look up to, or it's a group of experts. And now you are questioning, well, I still know this is obvious that it's false. But all these experts, these people who have PhDs, they're saying, no, it's this. Now, when you speak your voice and you call a spade, they're all going to use that authority and say, who are you to question my authority?
They're going to say, that was a spade, but that's old knowledge. That's old knowledge. Now we've developed. Yeah, we now know that it's not actually a spade.
But it's obvious to you. I mean, you don't have to be some super intelligent person. It's one of those, like, the line is clearly small. Like if I just look at statistics and I say, 1 out of 10 people, this happens. And they now break down the statistics in some kind of weird matrix. And it's like, but you're not understanding that it's not what you think it is. And they're experts. So most of us, we just say, well, the quote unquote phrase, they must know better than I do. So we all capitulate. We just say, I guess so. But we all know internally that's not real.
I would have agreed with you maybe 30 years ago. Prior to the internet, I think we relied a lot on, experts and authority because we didn't have any other source. So if someone came out to be an expert, we just kind of believed they were an expert. They obviously did research or whatever. Ever since the internet's come out, and we've had it for several decades now, it seems like everyone's an expert. And literally can be an expert. Throw in a video up on YouTube, and someone watches it and it's like, oh, I saw this on YouTube. Now, obviously it's true because the person's an expert. I mean, maybe it's my age and I've gotten very jaded, but I'm very hesitant to trust the phrase expert anymore. Especially over what happened with the, that virus thing that happened a couple of years ago that we can't speak of. That I think brought up a lot of question in my mind as far as who's people in authority making calls that I don't think they were particularly experts and should have been making those calls, especially affecting such a large number of people's lives.
Could you trust someone?
Started questioning.
Could you trust someone with a PhD or like a doctor with their name?
Well, that's a great point. And I was going to bring up the fact that I worked at a university for 10 years, and I got to know not only the people getting the degrees, but the people teaching with the degrees. And again, I trust people that have doctorates and PhDs even less because I got to know them.
Well, that becomes a informational paradox, right? So let's use the paradigm. We all have access to the internet. So this is where the idea is we all can have self-researched knowledge. But then the paradox becomes, if you don't trust the PhDs who are writing the dissertations so that you can use that information as quotable verification that's being propagated on the internet, then how do you trust the information on the internet? Because you have to trust the PhDs who are writing the stuff on the internet.
Well, my question would be, why do you need that information? For some Gen Z living in their mom's basement, or a millennial, or Gen X living in their basement, heaven forbid. Let's say they're living in their mom's basement, and they're like, man, well, this expert said this, and this expert said this. Like, they have all this information that is it ends with them. It's absolutely useless. They're not going to further society with any of the information that they're obtaining. So really, in the end, it doesn't matter what they think or feel or whatever.
You're talking about the one in the basement.
Yeah, the one in the basement. And again, and then maybe they make a podcast and they start spewing all this information. It's like nobody's listening.
Right.
And maybe somebody does listen, but they're just as dumb as the person talking about this stuff. Because like you're trying to spread all this information that you haven't verified yourself. If honestly, if everybody would just stay in their own lane, like let's say your passion is geology and that's your passion. And you're reading on geology. You read a lot of books on geology from many differing scholars, so you get a broad spectrum of different points of view. It's not just one-sided. Then you're not an expert, but at least you have something to say to other people interested in geology. To start telling everybody, like surgical neuroscientists about geology is weird. So, but then what happens is this armchair geologist will start saying, well, let me tell you about science, neurology. Let me tell you about how to do your job, neurologist. Or the neurologist will tell them about geology. I don't know. It's just everything seems backwards.
That's why, fundamentally, the foundation of a psyop is a narrative that forces moral dichotomies. It's always this way. Like, again, the Stanford experiment is a very simple reason why. Social constructs push out there's the right people and the wrong people. You are correct or you're incorrect. It's a zero-sum game. There's not like a dialogue. It's not a dialectic where we have different opinions and maybe there's a new emergent thought. It's none of that. PsyOps is this is right, that is wrong. And it's always a moral dilemma of some sort. And so tribalism plays in. And so, yeah, you're right. If people stayed in their lane and thought about that, then they would actually have this idea of contribution. But instead, it's more about who's correct. And it could be anything. It's like, well, 1 + 1 = 3, according to Terrence Howard. And now you have a moral dilemma, which is he right because of all of this stuff he's talking about? Or are these PhDs over here saying no? It's a zero-sum game. There is no middle ground. It's who's correct and who's wrong. Now everybody goes to Google, and Google's doing this and telling you this. The psyop is to play the game of the dichotomy. It's always that way. So the guy in the basement has to choose. He doesn't have the ability to say, well, I'm not interested in any of that. I know a lot about video games, and that's what I want to talk about. No, he's forced now. If you don't pick a side, you're not going to be part of my social group. If you don't pick a side, you can't come to the gamer, conference.
No, but what happens, though, is that person in the basement starts making it their personal belief system that, yes, I know everything about geology now. Even though I don't care anything about it, I know everything about it.
What caused people to be that way? It's like, so let's say you want to go to the gamer conference, but then your friends are all like, hey, did you hear about what happened in Minnesota?
Yeah,
and now you're going to get disassociated. You're just going to capitulate.
It's not always the case, though, because you will.
Like we said earlier, everything's on a continuum. Right? There's exceptions to the rules.
Or spectrum.
Right.
But it's weird because you'll have, yes, there's a psyops, but then there's just absolutely worthless, what some people deem worthless information, and yet still people cling to it. Like they'll cling to geology, all the information about geology, even though they don't know anything about it. They're just going off of what some YouTube guy said, like what Ted said. And then this guy will take that and start spreading it without a psyop. They're just going to spread it like, oh, I know everything about geology now. It's like, well, you don't.
No, they actually
for what gain?
You're right. You're right. They don't. But they actually become the psyop is what I'm saying. They push out the false dichotomy. Yeah, you're right. So there's some gamer out there. He's just watching this YouTube videos. Talking about, hey, rocks have this and that. And they're like, okay. Now he's convinced this is the truth. What now he's going to start propagating is a psyop. He's going to say, if you agree with me, you're right. And everybody else is wrong. And now he's dogmatic. He doesn't know anything about rocks. All he knows is what he watched on his YouTube video. But somehow he's now dogmatic, and he created this moral quandary. You're either on my side and it's right, back to the Stanford experiment, or you're wrong. But he knows nothing. He absolutely knows nothing. He actually created the psyop by just watching some YouTube video. And now he's forcing this social psyop to all his friends. And he actually could start partitioning. Like, you know what? I don't even want to hang out with you because you don't agree with me about rocks.
Well, that that drive could actually cause him to start reading up on it.
Right.
Because now he's like, I've been in all these debates about rocks, and now I better start reading up on it so I can have more information.
But then it only solidifies this weird narrative that he's constructed in his mind.
What I'm getting at, though, in this case, we're all part of the psyop.
Right. And that's why you have to be aware of what you're consuming, and then you have to be aware of yourself. Like, how far am I taking this? Am I being so dogmatic about this thing that I am pushing out a false narrative? Like, you can be assured about some things to an extent, but to make absolutist claims.
Yeah, but you can't know if something's a false narrative. So what you're saying is that everyone who's dogmatic is
Well, I'm
part of the
saying
psyop.
dogmatic in the sense that it's an absolutist claim. It's like it's a zero-sum game. You don't play a spectrum. You don't play, well, I could be wrong. Like, you're not even positing that. It's a zero-sum game. I am not wrong. I am right, and you're either on my side or you're wrong.
There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, though.
I'm saying
like what I'm saying is like with like Ted pointed out, people in the scholar world, people with PhDs will say that all the time, and they genuinely like that's one way you can tell a scholar usually is like the people who they're very humble with their knowledge. It seems like they're like, well, I could be wrong about this, and people may differ and disagree on this, and all. It's usually dogmatic people are very ignorant,
right?
That's
right.
The people that are dangerous are the people that say, there's differing opinions out there, because those PhD level people, they probably don't know what they're talking about either, but they sound like they do just because they're trying to play fair.
Well, it depends on the premeditative level. That's a lot more integrated. But you're right. Like, at least the PhD people, they wrestle, right? It's like, this
at least
PhD,
they seem to.
Right, and that's the best you can do. That's the best any human can do. We can at least have the illusion we're trying to play the game. That's better than saying, I'm oblivious to it all, and I'm just, it's like blind leading the blind. I don't care what anybody says. It's this, and that's it. That's the worst of it. The best you can do is at least be self-aware to some extent, and at least believing that I'm trying to integrate with my society and people. That's the best you can do. Of course, we all are absorbing information and then regurgitating information, but that's the best you can do. And at least that's what people try to do. They wrestle with other people's thoughts, and they're open to subject to change. But when you have absolute dogmaticism, absolutism is your answer, you're cut off to everything else. Now you're just pushing a zero-sum game. It's me or nothing.
It may be justified, though.
Yeah, but nobody hears that.
Those dogmatic people are what move things.
It just
some of those dogmatic people have a dream.
It moves more people like that.
More not integrated. Necessarily in a good direction either.
Yeah, integrative people, that's usually a turnoff.
I'm saying the person that made the first smartphone. What was his name? Not Bill Gates.
Talking about iPhone man?
Yeah.
Steve Jobs?
Yeah, Steve Jobs.
Yeah, he was dogmatic for that product, and we're all indebted to him for it, for ruining our lives.
Yeah, but he was integrated into technology, other companies, software. It's like the integrational idea is still there.
Imagine the dogmatic people who spearheaded Alzheimer's treatments or diabetes treatments. The people had to be dogmatic, whether they were right or wrong.
Well, I think that's the issue. Is like nobody's saying you can't have an objective. Like there's a finish line. Like I want to go after cancer, right? But are you going to say only my conclusions are right, or are you going to be integrated with all the spectrums of data?
That's the paradox. You have to be open. And somehow you have to be as open as you can, and somehow you have to be as closed-minded.
Well, the objective has to be solid.
If you're too open-minded, you'll have analysis paralysis. You'll never actually do anything. If you're too open-minded, you'll never see an objective. And if you're too closed-minded, you won't ever accept anybody else's critiques.
Well, that's why integration is part of a working mechanism, like a clock. You have all these gears working together for the objective to move the clock hand.
And the people that do it the best are well known for their achievements because they figured out at least they were probably the closest to that.
Well, what I think
act.
The ones that are always famous are the ones who know how to organize the pieces. They see the potentials, they put the pieces together, and they say, this cog here, that's really good. This cog here, that's really efficient. And now when I put this one here, this is all going to work really good. They can see the objective a lot more clearer, and they know how to put the pieces in, but they can't know the minutia. So they're just really good at organizing.
And they have to be open-minded to other people saying, there's a better way to put those cogs in there.
Right.
And then they have to be able to do it.
But they are dogmatic about the objective.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is, go ahead.
I think what you guys are talking about is experience. What I was going to mention about the PhDs and all, what colleague was saying about humility goes a long way in that. If you have a lot of knowledge and you're humble about it, people will tend to listen to you and believe you more. There were professors and doctors that I knew when I was working at the university that were legit. They knew their stuff. And I think a lot of that comes with experience too. It's not just book knowledge. It's not just sitting and reading like you can read stuff on the internet. I think it's experience too, because some of the biggest experts that I've known in my life have been people not necessarily that were book learners and readers, they were doers. And that experience that they built up over the years turned them into experts. And I think that's something that's important to look at, not just what a person says, but what does a person do, or what have they done? Like what's their resume look like, more or less, what is their experience?
Yeah, and there's two kinds of knowledge. There's learned knowledge, and then there's what's called tacit knowledge. A good example of tacit knowledge would be like swinging a hammer or riding a bike. You can't write that in a manual. Like, tell me in a manual, how do you ride a bike? And so it's a knowledge that you can only gain through experience. It can't be something somebody teaches you. But then there are trades that people can teach you, like if you sit down with a basketball player and he can teach you proper formation, he can teach you proper dribbling skills. And so there is learned knowledge that you have to have an expert or somebody who's well learned in the field to pass on that knowledge, because without it, you could probably get there, but that's like creating the wheel without talking to the person who created the wheel. Like, he definitely knows how to create a wheel. So there are things that are tacit, but a lot of things are passed down, and the efficiency of going on walking on the giants before me. That's always a lot more efficient than trying to say I'm going to be the lone rider and just do it myself.
Yeah, makes sense.
But then again, that's the hard part. It's like every subject matter has that dichotomy. You'll have this expert say this. You'll say that expert say that. And the problem is the people who are not experts, they're always picking sides. While the experts, a lot of times, they're working together. They may disagree, but they're working together.
There was an adage that I once heard where there was a family that was there was a mother and daughter cooking dinner in the kitchen, and the mother went and took the piece of meat and cut the ends off of it and then put it in the pot and put it in the oven. And the daughter says, why do you do that? Why do you cut the ends off of it? And she said, well, that's the way my mother always did it. Your grandmother always cut the ends off. And they said, well, listen, grandma's out there, let's go ask her. So they go out and ask the grandmother, why do you cut the ends off of meat? She said, well, that's simple. I didn't have a pot big enough for it.
Mm.
So you got to be careful when you're passing things down too, because you may be passing things down that aren't useful anymore.
Yeah, it's tradition over efficiency and innovation. Right. Yeah, that is a slippery slope too, and it's hard for people to give up tradition.
As long as people are aware, like you said, you're standing on the shoulders of giants right now. I don't know how big or small the giants are, but that does matter though, because the objective to everybody, I think, is to stand on the shoulders of higher up giants, bigger giants who have maybe been here longer, who are more smarter giants. And it seems like the ultimate aim is that you can see above the trees and the mountains. You start getting up on those higher giants. You're standing on their shoulders, and you can transfer giants as long as you're aware that right now you're standing on someone's shoulders right now. You're believing somebody's narrative, whatever it is. And if that giant is big enough, then good, stay on that giant. But if you see a bigger giant out there that can help you see more clearly above the clouds, then that should be everybody's goal. But a lot of people still, like you said, they think it's just me and mine. I have this idea. Nobody else has had it. I am a giant, which you could. If you actually came up with a new idea, you could be a giant. But, I'm only 34 years old, so I'm going to be a very small giant. If I came up with my own, like Terrence Howard, saying 1 + 1 = 3 or something. It's like he's trying to become his own giant. There's no other giants in all of history who said, yeah, when I take $3 to the bank, I want $2 back or something. Nobody talks like that. Nobody thinks like that. They want a return on whatever they're investing. Typically.
Yeah, but the scary thing about that is, though, you're talking about semantics, and I was considering this while you were talking about it. If society agrees on something, it becomes the law. Whether it's on the books or not, it doesn't matter. If for some reason someone started saying 1 + 1 = 3, if enough people started to agree with that, eventually the dynamic would change, and people would start calling what we would call in the past 2, we're now calling 3. I know it sounds crazy, but I think that's how ideas change, and things evolve. Like, for example, back in the 60s, there were certain beliefs, certain way we did things. And, today they're looked upon as being like, why would you even do that? Like, it was so almost primitive. But it's because people begin to agree on different ways of doing things, whether it's right or wrong. If the mass of people agree with something, it's going to become the way that it is. And if you disagree, like we were saying earlier, if you disagree with the status quo, you're either ostracized or mocked or, exiled.
I agree.
It's tricky.
I agree. I would say, though, to take it one step further, that only goes as far as an idea. Like, as far as once it becomes practical, like 1 + 1 = 3. Like, maybe that the whole community and the society starts agreeing that it's truth now. 1 + 1 = 3. But nobody's going to live like that ever. So, and then the idea itself will just die out because it has no roots in our everyday life. There's no way to act on that. Like, again, when nobody goes to a bank, gives them $300 and expects only $100 to be in their bank. Like, nobody's acting like that. Nobody expects to be treated that way. Everybody would go broke. You'd actually diminish as a species. So it's imperative that, and I think this is one thing that a lot of Charlie Kirk people were trying to do for the other side was they were trying to get them to, whatever you believe, put it into practice. Like, if you believe X, then practice X. Don't practice Y if you believe X. I think that's one of the bigger problems.
I think that's that adage is like, how people say, do as I say, but not as I do. And that, of course, people have a problem with that. But we got Mr. Oregon Bro on here. How you doing?
Hey, guys.
Yo.
Pretty good.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Yeah, Happy New Year, guys. Hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas and had a fantastic New Year. And I know Maduro had a great New Year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what else? Oh yeah, and of course there's the ICE thing that happened. I think there's something else obviously that happened too, but there's so much happening right now. But I just, what's important to me is my family's safe. We're still able to make money and go to the grocery store and watch Netflix and all the silly trinkets that we get to do for now. But I think it's a limited time subscription, though. A lot of this stuff that's keeping us comfortable, especially in America. If you look at people that live in like a third world country, they're literally digging through garbage to find something to sell or to salvage, whatever they're doing. And that's not the only thing they're doing. It's just that's what we see often whenever we see videos of everyone else that's not living like America or China or Australia or England. Yeah, so for now, it's like we just are comfortable with our Western comforts and we get to have a good, Christmas or New Year. Even though in America, we're still pulling out, stretching out their credit just to buy presents this year, especially with the fact that there was a government shutdown. So that screwed up a lot of people that were even willing to think about that this year. So yeah, it's great for now. My things are okay for us, and my son, he's happy. And
Tommy Boy says you'll be able to do all that until you get drafted.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing I was actually thinking about recently too, with the thing that's happening with Iran and Venezuela, and the fact that Venezuela isn't the only country where Trump is looking at taking down south or regime changing.
Oh no, he
Is
just came out and said, "Hey, Colombia, are you a president in Colombia? You listening? You're next." And that's the Monroe Doctrine. You know, there he's taking the Monroe Doctrine to the next level. He wants to emphasize a hemispheric dichotomy where this is what he wrote in that last November 2025 national security strategy. And he emphasizes that they're going to take this Trump corollary. Anyways, this amplification of the Monroe Doctrine of the hemispheric dominancy. And they're going to try to segue from the idea of the Brentwood Agreements of being the global police. And he's going to emphasize, what's a part of the Western Hemisphere? It's South America. It's going to be Mexico. Why is he emphasizing on Greenland? And why is he... And because of the climate change, believe it or not, regardless, it's opening up a lot of pathways. So now it's travelable. So now you'll be able to have this big open area of trade. This is going to be as valuable as the Suez Canal. And so now he's saying, well, he's calling it national security, but really this is going to be huge dominancy for trade. If you can go through the Arctic and get to Asia transferring, or to Russia, or anywhere, to Europe. And so he's trying to dominate that. So for him, he wants to control the Western Hemisphere and leave Asia to its own segment. So I think, Venezuela is just the beginning. I think he's going to try to emphasize this whole entire Western Hemispheric dominancy. And what is Europe going to do? Because, Greenland's owned by Denmark. And so what are they going to do? If Trump does it by force, I doubt he will, but if he does, what are they going to do?
How many people live in Denmark? It's like 18,000 people or something. It's
it's going to be a breach of NATO, so clearly that's going to be America saying we're done. We're not playing NATO games no more, which then now that's going to force Europe to have to unify more, and they're going to have to say, all right, we're not going to fight with America, but we are now not allies with America because they have subsided from NATO. And Europe's going to have to do something because what they're going to see is if Trump can do that with Greenland, well, what's stopping him from coming over to Europe? He can do whatever he wants. So they're going to have to start this idea of alliance is going to be now segregated by an ocean, by the Atlantic.
It's going to be a big problem, though, if Russia starts moving into Poland.
Right. And then Trump's going to say, hey, that's up to you guys.
And we just took one of Russia's oil tankers right now because Russia is doing oil deals with Venezuela. So is China. And then what's next? They're going to take a Chinese tanker? I mean, not that the probably Chinese really even care that much, to be honest. They have plenty of money and exports everywhere else. So honestly, I don't think it's no sweat off their back if they lose Venezuela because they're going to take Taiwan. They're going to take it in a week. So there's no point of them go, okay, now we have to send our assets over here when we're distracted everywhere in South America and in Iran and maybe possibly other places in the Middle East, which Iran's also allied with Russia, which is not good for us. That's a prime opportunity for China to expand its borders, which they will do it. And the only thing that we're going to do is we're just going to pull all the important people out of Taiwan and destroy and blow up all the chip facilities and then restart back in America. And either we do what Elon Musk's grandfather was originally planning on doing, which is creating the technocracy in North America and doing our own thing, or Trump is doing that and is doing it in his own way. But now we're working with Peter Thiel and with Alex Karp and all of those guys. I don't know if Peter Thiel and Alex Karp are fun with Russia and China. I don't think they are. It doesn't sound like they are. But I don't know if China and Russia are in agreement to doing these summits in Davos, just like Trump is doing and stuff. Because I don't think I've ever seen Xi Jinping at a Davos summit ever.
They have their own, like they do their own BRICS summit, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I honestly think it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting if Trump does anything with Greenland. I think it's going to force a mandate for Europe to start depending on Russian oil, because they're going to have to either totally capitulate with Trump, or they're going to have to start making alliances. So they're going to get rid of NATO, because NATO was created specifically because of Russia. So if that's all pointless, because America is not going to be the contributor anymore, and they're abrogating themselves from NATO, they're gonna have to create another alliance, and they're gonna start being dominant. Only other person is the Saudis or Russia, and I think they're going to start making a whole new alliance. And I think it's too expensive and risky for China to do anything with Taiwan right now, but they're working on their own lithography right now. China is, so. Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's going to be interesting. Whatever Trump decides to do with China is going to bring a whole shift to Europe, because Europe's a part of, you can call Europe a continent, but it's connected to Asia. That's all just one landmass. So it's going to be really easy for them to work with the Chinese and the Russians and the Saudis than dealing with having to totally capitulate with people on the other side of the pond.
Yeah,
and the infrastructure for oil is already there. Like all these oil and natural gas lines, they're already set up there. Like Germany's been getting oil and natural gas from Russia for forever.
Well, yeah, and also everyone had to continue to actually not continue. Sorry, let me restart that. When we blew up that Nord Stream pipeline, didn't that cause the majority of, I think, every single European country to get all their oil from Russia? And that was and we blew up that pipeline, and it was kind of, and we can look back and say, okay, well, what was the point of that? What was the point of blowing up a strategic pipeline when that was helping with trade? That was helping us secure assets in our country, and we were trading back and forth with Russia. There was no problem there. And of course, there was the issue with Zelensky in Ukraine, which a few years ago they already had, or not a few years ago, 2014, they had a little battle, and then they'd settled the region, and then Russia said he was going to go back again, and that's only because they were going to join NATO. And so I think,
honestly, I don't think it's that. America is the largest oil producer in the world, and one of the largest natural gas. By cutting off the Nord Stream, because of one of the biggest countries that was affected was Germany. And so a lot of that forced the production and import of American natural gas to come to Europe. And a lot of it is just dependency. Oh, you're not going to be able to get it easy anymore. These pipelines are cut off. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to depend on us.
But why did we blow it? Well, why did we blow? I never really understood why he actually did that.
Well, it just depends on how much strategic planning you believed. How deep the conspiracy goes. How much strategic planning you think America, Zelensky, were planning for this Russian war? And then you could probably that can add to rationality, or like a boogeyman, like a straw man, to say, oh, look, a happenstance, we blew up the Nord Stream. It's just, it's just a part of this mishmash. But of course, it just adds into dependency to American exports.
Yeah, and we also have a ton of oil. I don't know how much we have in the United States, but we have a lot of wells that are capped off, and I don't know. I know everywhere around the world there's capped oil wells. It's not like we're not limited to the use of oil. We have plenty. It's just Bill Gates recently, I think, also has something to do with all this as well. Well, Bill Gates saying that climate change isn't that big of an issue.
Yeah, he's flipped anymore on that now.
Yeah, and a lot of people would say, oh, that's because of the Epstein files, and he's in the Epstein files, and Trump has Larry Ellison and all these millionaires by the balls, and that's why they're. And I'm just like I'm a right guy right now. Like, yeah, sure, when pigs fly, because Trump's part of the files too, and he didn't do. I'm not saying he did anything with girls, but he still did something with these people and was involved with some things, and he obviously doesn't want you to know about it. A lot of them don't want you to know. None of them do.
Well, think about the perfect schema. If Trump initializes all this war dominancy, like anything, you have a wartime president. This is a big, megaphone. It's hard to not support a wartime president. So all these other things is pushed to burner. So even if like something was exposed from the Epstein files, who cares? Trump's doing things. So when people see momentum, it's the snowball effect. So you just have to start backing it. It's like, yeah, but you know what? He's doing this now. You start pushing all this away. So it's a good diversion. Start really amplifying the wartime initiative. Everybody supports America. You want to be patriotic. And so, yeah, we know that these things are heinous, but hey, Trump's doing things. So it's a good way to continue the initiative, regardless of what happens. So I think, like I think most people, it doesn't matter what comes out. The more he acts upon more radical wartime functions, people are just going to say, well, look what he's doing now. And they're just going to forget it all.
That's true. When's the breaking point?
Yeah, I think it's also unfortunate that it's hard for people to look through a clear lens at anything that happens. You're always, I feel like people they look through the filter of whether their beliefs are on the left or on the right. And, the people on the right think Trump can do no wrong, and the people on the left think everything Trump does is wrong. Mm-hmm. And, they say a broken clock is right twice a day. I mean, when you're going to have an opinion on a particular person and his policies, I mean, you really have to look at what's happening in the big picture. Whether you like the guy or not, some things he does appear to be helping us, and some other things not so much. But this all or nothing thing is it's kind of crazy.
I don't think there's much of an option at this point. When China was really small, controlling the trade and controlling national security policy, that was the main thing. It's like the Bretton Woods agreements was like, you guys can have all the free trade you want. We're not going to control any of that trade. But we, America, we control the security policies of the United Nations. And we're going to be the police, basically. We're going to make sure there's peace so there can be trade. So everybody obliged. And China, I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to benefit from it, and they did. And look where they are now. But now, because they have influence, they can start, like the Silk Road. A lot of that was just buying influence. It wasn't so much creating infrastructure as much as buying influence. And because they have so much of this buying influence power, what is America going to do? It's too expensive. You're not going to go to every single country. You're not even over in that continent. China's already there. It's so easy for them to navigate all of this. It's on the single landmass. So at this point, it's just too expensive, too much, and it's not feasible. So America has to decide, what are you going to do? You're going to go into like literal global war, or are you going to play sides? It's like, all right, they can have that, and we're going to have this. Don't cross my side, I won't cross your side. And, of course, there's going to be a little tit-for-tat stuff going on, but basically it's like, all right, you guys have that, and we're going to have this.
Well, and China seems to be intelligent enough to understand that they're going to take what they want, and everyone else who has some sort of deal with them, like I know Australia is very aligned with China in a lot of ways, and of course Israel too. But they're like, if we were to kind of just leave the Eastern Hemisphere to China and all those people, I think a lot of that would genuinely kind of stay the same. It would change maybe a little with some policies in some places, but largely they would have to keep it that way. But the only thing that would change would be the grid, that whatever techno grid that they're in place, they're putting in for everybody. That's like who are the investors for that? Those are going to be the guys that are kind of calling a lot of the shots. And who knows, maybe that is, Peter Thiel, or maybe they have a Chinese version of Peter Thiel. Who knows what their Peter Thiel is? But we know they're very heavy on trying to become one of the not dominant powers of the world, but at least have dominancy over their region, because they're tired of being bullied.
You know what's hard for people to understand is that when you look at the ruling power, like the leaders, there's two different mindsets. And I think this is why it's strange for Americans comparative to Asian cultures. China's ruled by engineers. Like Xi Jinping's an engineer. All of them are engineers. So that's how they structure their country. America's ran by financing and business and entrepreneurs. So that's how we structure our country.
And wussies.
That's neither here nor there. So if you just understand that, you can see why it's so different in the way they do things and what they're emphasizing on as priority and why they're structuring what they're structuring. And so America focuses on control by currency and dominancy through financial products and financial dependency. China does it by trying to navigate through opportunities of advancement. So they go to more third world countries. They go to places where they need advancement. And of course, to them, they don't have the accesses. A lot of these third world countries, they might be in debt to the IMF or other places. And so what do? So then they join BRICS. And then China comes in with all this innovation, really cheap, and it's really beneficial for them. So they're trying to control through innovation through third world and emergent countries, while America is trying to focus on controlling by financing products and currency domination. It's two different schemas of trying to control the world. And they really don't mingle. So America, what they do is like, so we got to focus on Taiwan semiconductor. Why? Because America can't do that. And we got Greenland or up here with ASML, and they're the most prolific people with lithography technology. So what are we going to do? So all this software technology we have here in America, but the hardware is a lot of it's outsourced in its efficiency. And so China, you can make the argument, well, they don't create anything. They just steal everything. Doesn't matter. The whole point is they're trying to control by innovation. They focus on emerging countries, innovate, and that's really promising to them. While America's saying, we'll give you all the free money, but now you're in debt to us.
Yep. I have a friend that lives in China. He says it's compared to living in Soho, South Africa, probably the best place on earth from his perspective to live. I'm pretty sure even if you were to come to America, yeah, he'd be able to shoot a gun. Yeah, he'd be able to smoke a joint. Yeah, he would be able to drive a certain type of car. I don't know what they're able to drive in China. Probably the same things we got here. But anyways, there's probably certain things that you can do here that you can't do in China. But we're very similar, though, in that way of sequestering communism and doing fascist corporate deals and stuff like that. China,
like profess your faith.
What, like profess your faith? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, in China.
Yeah.
That's something you can't do in China that you can do in the U.S.
That's another thing he would be able to experience. But what we have trade-offs. Well, we didn't even ask for these trade-offs. We had all these seemingly, I guess, rights before, and they kind of stayed for the most part. But all the other stuff, the inventing of technology and all that stuff that is being built around us and being handed to us for cheap, is giving us the ability to create echo chambers and our own type of prison, which China has already been doing that beforehand. And now that he's told me, yeah, there is a social credit score, but it's not a requirement. You still use cash, but if you cross the street and you get dinged for it, you just have to walk back across the street the correct way, and then you get your thing back. That is true. That is currently happening right now. And quite frankly, I don't know if Trump is going to go the same direction in America, but there's a lot of people, a lot of MAGA who don't want that. But I think the only way to get that solution is through some sort of crisis. That look how bad these Somalians have screwed us with fraud, and look at this, our border and the fentanyl. And even though it's a bunch of crap, but we're going to hand you this digital ID so you can get access to the internet and do all this other stuff. And it's like, I don't know, but my point is right now everyone's just comfortable, and it's weird. It's almost like, okay, we got basically everybody where we want them. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, to be crazy, but it just seems like that's kind of the case right now.
Well, so that's always the payoff. You don't have a choice. Security always comes at liberty. There's no way around it. Yeah. You can take it on a microcosm or a macrocosm. It doesn't matter. You have a little tribe or you have a massive economy. Security comes at the cost of liberty. If you want to be in my protection, you got to follow my rules. You don't get to do whatever you want and get my protection.
I think Tom was asking you something, but he redacted it. He said, hey, host, whatever happened with the show getting removed? Any word back yet?
Yeah, I'm not really talking about it. I did get the letter, and I sent it over. And for now, I'm not going to talk about that. But I should be getting word back here soon. But I did. I received it, and I sent it over. So we'll see what happens.
You don't want to poison the well?
No, I just can't.
Even just a little
bit.
bit?
If anything is going to transpire, I don't want to taint it. So, but I did. I did get the letter finally, and I did send it over there. And any update, I will let you guys know.
When you can. Yeah, don't jeopardize.
Yeah,
don't jeopardize anything legally by saying anything.
That's what my attorney friend said. He said, for now, don't really talk about the details.
Nope.
Yeah, there's this YouTuber I watch, and he made like 20 grand. He's making like around 20 grand a month. He's very open about his earnings and stuff. And he's like, and I was switching my personal email account to a business email account, and something happened, and then YouTube they flagged my account, and then they didn't want to pay me. And so after weeks of repeatedly going back to YouTube and being like, hey, can I get paid? They finally told him, yeah, we'll go check on it. No worry, we'll look at it. And then hey, sorry, we can't really do anything. And then they finally told him, hey, if you ask us again, we're gonna delete your channel.
See, that's okay. If they would have done something like that, that's fine. It's a private company. They can do whatever they want. That's fine. But when you start utilizing the contingency of a government, that's a constitutional issue. If you're a private company and you say, I don't like what you're saying, it's not because of the government or anything. I don't like what you're saying, and I want to suppress your voice. Fine. It's like Walmart saying, I don't like you. Now, of course, they're going to say, hey, we saw you do X, Y, Z. But they can. It's whatever. It's a private company. But when you use the primacy of the government, now it's like suppressing my speech because the government, well, now that becomes a First Amendment issue. So that's all I say about that.
We don't want to pry too much into that.
Last thing I was going to say about that, that's corporate fascism, if anybody wondering. We've been doing it for a while, but that's what, not in a nutshell. So, anyways.
And again, I'm okay with that. We really weren't making a lot of money on YouTube. It's fine. But the issue was it was established, and, it was cool. It's fine. But again, I get it. It's their platform. I have to comply by their rules, and they have jurisdiction. That they own that. It's like if you live in an HOA, you got to comply. You decided to play the game of the HOA. So whatever, you like it or not, you've made that decision. So it's whatever.
Yep, every time I go fishing here at my private lake, because it's HOA, I have to wear this yellow badge to prove but everyone who comes and fishes and it doesn't matter. But
yeah, so when I get on these platforms, they make the rules. I have to comply, and so I try to find ways to navigate. But if they said we saw you trying to subvert things and we don't like that and we think it's TOS violation, fine. I would be like, that's fair, that's fine. I'll admit it. Yeah, I tried to do all that. That's great, but that's not what happened. So that's why it's there's something I'm trying to do.
Tommy said, "Is it serious?" And I think it's
legit.
Yeah, it's terminal.
It's legit. That's why after my attorney looked at it, he said, "Oh yeah, it's legit." So that's all I'm going to say. We'll see what happens next couple of weeks.
Yeah, one Jeremy Henneberry F2U says, "Be the one who changes the world." Hold on. Before that, he said, "What unthink about AI deceiving nations?" Or I think he means, "What do you think about AI deceiving the nations?"
Well, I think AI is just a embodiment. AI is trained.
You mean like there's like an image to it?
Well, I mean, it's a mask right now. It's like when you put on a costume. Let's say I put on a deep fake. Let's say I deep fake myself as Donald Trump, and I have a green screen and I look like I'm in the Oval Office or whatever.
Yeah, you have an image,
right? And it's just it's my ideas propagated through this imagery, right? AI is simply that at this point. Now, in some time in the future, according to AI researchers, 2027 might be the breakthrough because of agentic functions, but that's neither here nor there today. I think it's just a mask. It's a good way to create information dissemination. I like that. I'm going to use that. Information dissemination. And, they can say, hey, AI, I want you to create a mass flooding of 10,000 articles on this and write it in multiple different ways by multiple different authors and propagate it all through the internet in segments of 3-day spans and pay for services on Forbes and CNN and all this so you can get the articles posted so it looks legit and do it. And they set it off, and it's easy. AI is an easy way to do information dissemination. And so I think that's where it's useful now if you're talking about like controlling nations or controlling narratives. I don't think it's conscious or anything like that. Now, could it be? Well, that's the argument. But at this point, I don't think it's like that.
Well, just in that line of thought, real quick, David Zerm, just before Jeremiah said that, Jeremy Henneberry, David Zerm said Yuri Bezmenov mentioned to use the universities to reshape perceptions and demoralize our nation within.
The 10 steps.
Go ahead.
The 10 steps of deceiving a nation and demoralizing to destroy them from the inside out so you can do a regime change. Specifically, he was talking about America, though, because that's what Russia's wanted to do. I guess that was back in the Cold War era. Russia wanted to subvert American intelligence and go into the universities and change the people's ideology to a Soviet communistic ideology. But I think that happened anyway, because you got Marxism and you still have the, China's great, Mao's Red Book. So that kind of already happened anyway. But basically, yeah, that's what it is.
Well, I think only the radical leftists are really. I think that's a part of leftist, propaganda. A lot of times, there's two. You can play oppositional games, but there's internal propaganda. Like leftists propaganda themselves, just like conservatives or rights propaganda themselves. Good example would be leftists. A lot of times, they eat their own. Like they have these moral high grounds, and unless you are this absolute perfect pious, that's why they're so careful in what they say. You're going to get attacked by your own.
Like look at Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, she actually
right.
She got fired, I think, twice from the
because they weren't sensitive. You got to have this ultimate high ground.
She was racist twice. She actually was racist twice on both occasions. She got put on leave or some kind of. She got punished both times. But it's funny, like that. This is what she's all against is racism, and then she herself is being racist.
You got to be so careful as a leftist. Like,
I would imagine if you're going to preach something that dogmatically, then that's probably how you're living. But that's not the case for her. Apparently.
But conservatives are the same boat. Like you have the MAGA people, and they're going to say unless you are literally agreeing with everything with Trump, then I don't know if you're a domestic terrorist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if you're on this side of the coin. I don't know if I can trust you. And it's still the same propaganda narrative. It's like it's every zero-sum games. There's no continuum spectrum. There's no conversation. There's no dialectic. It's all zero-sum games. It's all or nothing. And if not, I don't know about you. I don't know about you. And so these issues, it's not just Marxism or Keynesian economics or whatever. It's simply controlling narratives. It's a power dynamic. It's a power play. It's always going to be that way. And it doesn't matter if you are talking about Marxist, full on throttle, classless systems. You're still playing a power dynamic.
If we're all being honest right now, everybody on this chat right now, in the chats and in our live right now, Ted, Organ Bro, host, colleague, we're all also trying to control narratives. Where we have each of us a narrative to present, whatever it is. And, we're all three in this room throwing our narratives at each other, seeing where they line up, where they differ, and we can have this.
But see, that's what we want. That's called the dialectic.
Or quadrilectic.
You have contradictive opinions. They hit each other, but then those who want a dialectic, we can possibly have an emerging new idea. Right. Those people who don't want dialectics,
they're not into the recoil.
Well, it's just that's what I'm saying. That's propaganda. That's what that is. It's straight propaganda. Yeah, you're right. We're all trying. I'm always still trying to find out things. There's some things Tommy Boy, he's come on here before, and he said a lot of things that, I was disagreeing about before, and, maybe I'm shifting on some things. But that's okay. I don't have no pedestal that I have to say it's my way or the highway, and everything Tommy Boy said is wrong.
No, but you have a narrative. Even if you play a Socratic method of asking questions, it's still leading.
Yeah, of course.
And we're all doing it.
But what's the motive of leading? Like, I'm legitimately, I want to know some kind of reality. I want to know some truth. So yeah, I'm leading some perspectives, but I'm also trying to say, I'm posing like I'm going to be a contrarian for a minute. Because I want to hear, because I'm going to be hyperbolic, I'm going to push those like emotional buttons, because I want you to say something that I know you might be suppressing. And then you say it, and it's like, you know what, that might be a good point, but you might have not said it unless I pushed it. And I was like, all right, now I can take that. And now maybe it's going to change some of my perspective. And so, yeah, I'm leading some things, but also a lot of things. I'm still trying to figure out what is actually going on. I'm still trying to learn here.
Yeah, you mentioned motives.
Yeah.
There's a lot of motives why people have dialogues, quadrilogues, trilogues, all these logs. One of the reasons is probably to, put yourself on a pedestal, like I know this, or I know that. Another reason is for money, capital gain. I mean, another reason is because, you want just power. Maybe it's not for the money. You just want the power to control this group of 4 people, whatever, or maybe maybe the.
Hey man, I'm just coming here to talk about my ideas and just try to figure out what's going on.
I know.
Like-minded people.
I know, and I'm saying that's great. We're all doing the same exact thing, but we all have different motives, whatever those motives are. And some play it close to the chest. Some are more transparent. Some are pretending to be transparent, but they're actually playing close to chess, and it's really hard.
Yeah, like I just admitted, like sometimes I will play a contrarian to force an emotional push, and I know I'm being hyperbolic, but I want you to say that thing that you might be suppressing, but I'm going to make you angry. I'm going to make you feel something, and then you're going to say it. And I'm like, okay, but that actually might be very useful for me, but I don't know everything, so you might see, but you're hiding it, and it's not on purpose. I mean, there might be justified reasons why, but I'm going to push it, and then you're going to say something, and that very well could be information that I say, you know what, that's interesting. That's a different perspective. So, yeah, of course, I might play that.
Yeah, you don't want this channel to be an echo chamber.
No, of course
it would be kind of pointless. If we all just sat around and echoed what each other saying, I think it would be kind of pointless. I mean, you want contradictory thoughts and opinions so that you can kind of think about it, and the important part, which is the thing I love about your channel and what you guys do, is the fact that it's an open-minded forum. No one is going to get abused, or you're not going to get called names. I mean, people might be doing that secretly, but I'm saying, as far as everyone seems pretty accepting and open-minded, at least, whether you agree or not, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it's hard to find.
Yeah, no, it really is. That's why. That's
Sorry.
why when the channel got shut down, I got scared a little bit. I was like, "What? What? Don't go away! Why? What? We're not going to talk about that anymore." But you guys are back now. I'm like, okay, and there's the only way I would have not been able to find you guys if I wasn't subscribed to your.
Well, that's what I would say. One thing, subscribe to the Rumble, because if it happens again, then I'm just gonna emphasize on Rumble. At least that's not getting deleted, and
we can get at least 400 followers on there.
We got 800. We actually got more over there than we do now over here, but yeah. So at least subscribe over there, because if this happens again over here, I'm just going to focus on over there and Facebook, because Facebook's the funnel.
I think ultimately the motivation behind dialogue, trilogue, quadrilogue, all these logs, the motivation should be
woodworkers.
It should be. I think a pure motive would be searching for truth. Like if everybody's converging their minds in this big think tank, I imagine the ultimate aim should be, we're trying to find the best, most efficient way to go about whatever we're talking about. We're trying to get to the bottom of something. Some
kind of truth, right?
Yeah, any truth, whatever.
Right, we're trying to find some reality.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's somewhere in the middle between my idea and your idea, and that's why we're comparing and contrasting our ideas.
We hope so. We both could be absolutely wrong, and we're going straight to the toilet, but that's okay.
Well, that's
we're having a good time doing it.
Me and you may be way over here, talking over here. The truth's way over here. But then if you have a third person, it's more likely that now there's dimension. So now we can at least get it that much more closer to the truth.
Well, that's
and
what
if there's a fourth person, now it's more dimension.
I mean, you remember Tom coming on back in the beginning days when he actually showed his face. But
back when he cared about truth.
Right. And me and him would get in these very, interesting debates. And like I said, there's a lot of things that shifted that some of those things Tom was right, some of them he wasn't. And you know what? That's cool. And that's an interesting dynamic, and I can appreciate that.
But now he's swinging for the different team.
Well, I know. He's like embedded. Like he's actually a part of Smarty Pants, the Smart Textiles. Mm-hmm. It's working for IARPA verbatim. But
yeah, he's playing for the opposite team.
Yeah, but I appreciate all that. I really do. Because I'm trying to find some reality.
Mm.
Tommy's working for the dark agencies.
Yeah.
Oh, for real? I thought you were kidding.
Oh no, he's absolutely CIA.
The guy's a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
I care about money, baby.
Yeah. Well, he's got his money on his mind.
Yeah. But the problem always becomes authority fallacies, and that's always the tough part. Is like I read a lot, but then again I battle myself. Is what can I trust here? How much of this is being pushed out by, again, a controlled operation, a narrative? It all makes sense, but it's just like geometry. You need an axiom, like a fundamental principle, a presupposition. Now geometry's perfect. It works perfect. Take away this pre-assumption, this axiom. What is geometry? It's the same thing. It's like I have to assume the presupposition that the government is truthful. Then I can assume all the data that the government's pushing out is truthful. But if I don't have that assumption, now I'm left with how do I decipher which information the government's pushing out is true and not?
That's what I think is crazy. It's like we can talk about how the government lied to us about all these things. Look at what the government said over here. Look what they said over here. And these didn't happen. This didn't happen. It's like, well, how did you know that those things didn't happen? Well, because the government said so. It's like, well, how do you know they're not lying to you now?
It's the epitome of
circular
reasoning.
Maybe they're telling the truth before, yeah, but now they're lying to you. And this is where I'm like, this is tough, and that's anyway. But I'm not trying to throw eggs at anybody's preferences and stuff.
Well, it's just our reality, we deal with these things, so we're trying to figure out something.
I guess you could say that about going into Iraq. The whole thing was about it's WMDs. That was the whole after. Oh, they threw some planes at us. Now we got to go get them because they got nukes. They're going to nuke us next, right? And Netanyahu was one of the ones who was saying that before that happened. But and then we went over there, and then we found no nukes. We found, uranium. I think that was like the only thing we found. But I don't even think we found uranium. I don't think there was even reports of that. I think we just went over there and destabilized some countries, and grew Israel's border. a little bit. That's what we did, and did just some regime change. But if they would have just told us, "Hey, we're just going over there for some regime change. There are no nukes," and this whole Twin Towers thing was just a catalyst to go to war and put us in more debt. Who knows? Maybe even if they said that, we would have been just like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. That's fine."
But you see right there, there you go, right there. Yeah, whatever. Maybe we would.
Yeah. So I think that's what we've been dealing with this for a long, long time. We don't, just like how we only know what we're being told about history, which is probably honestly this much. And the academics who do academia all day long, they discuss amongst themselves their findings. They don't really go public with a lot of it unless the paper is going to be published for money. That's one of the only things. And so their name can live on in the paper. You have all these issues with that, and I don't know if Trump said, "Oh, we need to take some money from the universities, and now we're going to make these academics pay, for lying to our kids and making them trans." And it's like, well, what about all the other stuff that they're simply literally not telling us that we probably should know? But that's nor here nor there. It's just like, yeah, right, that's probably not true. Same thing. It's just it's really easy to get in these echo chambers.
Well, it's tough. Colleagues made the point before, which is, it's an important thing to remember. You have to be careful with information because sometimes you don't need to know information. Like if the government told you there was nukes in, Saddam Hussein had nukes, it was real. What are you going to do? You're just going to say, oh, okay, it's justified. Now they say they didn't have nukes. What do you say? Okay, it's not justified. But for you, it's just information. You ain't doing anything. It ain't changed your life. Life goes on either way. They're controlling the opium fields or they're not controlling opium fields. Who cares?
And they found uranium where they didn't.
Yeah. It's like it does to you. It's just information. And so there might be aliens, there might not. But you know what? Today, who cares? You don't care. Nobody cares. And you say, we want that information. But really, it's just information. And sometimes not telling the public information is a lot more beneficial because mass panic and chaos. I'll tell you one thing they care about is they care about that stock market. And mass panic and chaos is doing nothing for the stock market.
Yeah, the military doesn't have to tell us everything they're doing and all these secrets that they're doing. It's a need to know. I mean, the people in the military don't even know what exactly it is they're doing or why until you go up to higher ranks. And even those higher ranks don't even know everything that the higher ranks know. To think that us as civilians need to know whether they found uranium or not or why or what they're really doing over there, like everything we just – and you're right. Historians do the same thing. Things are on a need-to-know basis, and some historians lie, and they have, everything's generated, motivated by money and all that stuff. That makes sense. But that's not what anybody's saying. It's you have to pick somebody. Like you can't say you believe in Tartaria and be a historian because Tartaria will tell you that all history is made up. And then it's like, well, how do you know? Well, I'm a historian. It's like, well, so you pick one historian to tell you that all history is made up. So you pick one historian over other historians. And my thing is, what is your method for your madness?
I'm going to go dig up some bells that are buried under the ground. That's one thing that I know proof of Tartaria is.
Well, there you go.
I go find these fucking bells.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. But with or without the bells and whistles,
right?
It doesn't matter. If you're going to believe the government, then believe the government. Or at minimum, pick people that you're going to believe and continue to believe them. Because as soon as you start saying they lied over here, then you can't really trust that authority anymore. That's what I try to do with my preferences. Because, I haven't been to Egypt to excavate stuff. And they will never let me go excavate stuff. That takes years of just jumping through hoops for real archaeologists. It takes them years. There's waiting lists. And sometimes they just get denied after years of waiting, nothing. And all of a sudden, you've been denied. So I, myself, colleague, am never going to be able to go to Egypt to excavate with my own eyes. I just have to trust the Egyptologist excavators and what they say they found.
Trust the guys that go on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, like Billy Carson and them. I have to just trust them, and that's it. And unfortunately, now, if I trust Billy Carson, for example, then I need to trust everything he's saying. Because if he lies to me one time, then he just destroyed my trust.
Sorry, Max.
Yeah, I know. But that's that stuff. I'm not going to trust him anymore if he lies to me as an authority figure. I'm going to pick a different authority figure to trust.
Well, that goes to the question that Tommy Boy was positing, which is he's asking, I guess me, do you believe the stock market is real? And it goes to that conjuring. I can only believe it's real so much. Like, I believe it's rigged, of course. But what are they trying to rig it for? They're trying to get that digital number that's in my bank account out of mine and into this system. And again, is currency real? I'm not going into that far into the stake matrix, but they want that digital number to leave my bank and go into their bank. And so, yes, it's real as in that sense. And they do care about it because if everybody is afraid, what they're going to do is try to cash out, and that's going to be a cash run. It's going to be a stock run. Everybody's going to try to sell out. It's going to create squeezes, it's going to create mass chaos, especially in the options market. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you can rig it all day, but when everybody pulls out and it's a stock run, what are you going to do? So that part is fake in the sense that it's rigged, but the idea that this money out of my bank account is going into this market, that's real. And in my idea of, there's going to be an atomic bomb dropping, chaos, I'm going to cash out. And if everybody does that, that's going to be mass panic. That part, I would say, is real. But no, not the actual market as a fair market per se. I'm not saying that's real. Wow, Tommy Boy's blowing it up.
I know.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the stuff he's putting in there. He said something very interesting, though. He said half-truths. And I think that's a very valid point. Like, colleague, you were saying, like, if someone, you're listening to someone as an expert and they lie to you once, well, maybe they don't know they're lying. Sometimes what if they discover something, but they're wrong the way they discover it. David. So,
well, if they're honest, they'll come out and say, like, again, I'm still reading Richard Dawkins' Gene book. What was it called? Gene. The Selfish Gene. And he, in this book, this is a later edition, he actually calls himself out several times, almost every chapter. He's like, I was wrong here to say this. Now we know this, and now we know this. And like at one point he's like, I am embarrassed to say that I said this about anthropologists. They really did do, and they've been talking about this subject, which I said that they've been shy about, and they've actually been talking about it for many years. And I'm embarrassed to say that I just didn't know. So he calls himself out repeatedly. That's what I expect a real scholar to do. Is
exactly.
That's why later editions of books come out, is because new information comes out. You find out you were wrong, or maybe the information was out there, you just didn't know about it. So somebody else tells you. Anyway, but yeah, my point with all that is, like, if you're going to trust a news channel, or if you're going to trust a specific politician, then trust them. But you can't say that they're lying to you and about things in the past, but now they're telling you the truth now. To me, to me that feels weird. It feels
there's a saying that came out of the '60s: "Question authority." And I think maybe that's really kind of the best thing to do. It's like, you can listen, you can believe, but don't be afraid to question it. Like I think people are taking certain things that are being said as like Bible truth, and I think that's dangerous. I think you have to realize that people are human. They make mistakes. Sometimes purposely they'll mislead you, or sometimes they make honest mistakes. And if you question it, then at least you're doing your due diligence of trying to find out whether it seems legit.
For sure. I agree with that. I would say that that's the case for anybody that questions authority. You're supposed to, because if you're not allowed to question authority, then I wouldn't say you're in an occult, but you're in some sort of control, for sure. Or that maybe that person is under some sort of, maybe they have personal things, but I wouldn't say a cult.
I don't know, Argan, bro. I would say it's not far from it. If you're listening to someone, who espouses certain opinions, and you're not questioning it, if you're just believing everything they say is true.
Oh yeah, I guess that is a cult.
That's very cult-like, or it's very religious.
Well, a cult means hidden. And I know, are they trying to hide information from you, and then you don't question it, right? That's the whole purpose of being in the cult, and you just totally blindly follow that authority.
I don't know if that's the meaning of that word.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
Occult, I think, is, but not cult.
Cult. Okay, two different. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
But you can think of it as religion. Think of it as a religion, even. I mean, not all religions have to be based on a god. Religion is about faith and belief. So you can have faith and belief in a person to the point where everything they say is truth. That's a religion, man.
That's true. Yeah, I see the people wearing their Trump 2028 hats, and I'm not saying that they don't have their own type of belief outside, but it seems like they're very Trump can do no wrong no matter what. And it's like that type of stuff. Or Even people look at Biden, for example. Everyone stopped defending Biden until he was like basically leaving the presidency, and that's because the left have a hierarchy, socialized deal that they got going on, where if you violate it, then we'll change the rules, that will change how we feel about the cult, and then we'll get a new leader, and then we'll have a new perspective. But then they claim that we're not under any cult, but it's weird. They're weird. They're very strange in that
Take
way.
that a step further, though. We're talking about politics. Step out of there and go into the cult of personality. Think about celebrities.
Right.
What's her name? Taylor Swift is such a good example of this. She has a cult-like following. And she was pretty much silent about politics. And then all of a sudden she came out and she backed a certain candidate. Well, everyone who is of voting age that follows Taylor Swift is now going to think, well, if Taylor thinks it's a good idea. And I'm not saying that people who enjoy celebrities can't think for themselves. I don't want to say that. But
that's how I understood it.
There's a cult of personality. There's the thing of cult of personality, and there are certain people out there that have a sway over other individuals and the way they think, and so it's powerful. It's a powerful effect.
There's people out there still today.
Shout out to Taylor Swift, man. She's all right.
Yeah, we know she's watching this.
Taylor
Much
Swift,
love, Taylor.
Yeah, very talented person. Of course, my sister is a huge Swiftie, and you have to be careful what you say about Taylor Swift around her, because she takes it so personally, which I think that's unnecessary. It's just another human being. They're gonna fall, just because they're rich and you view them as more beautiful than you, whatever. You shouldn't diminish yourself based off those circumstances, and a lot of people do.
Listen, when I'm out on the street and people badmouth host and colleague, man, I get right into them. I'm like, you don't say that kind of stuff about host and colleague. They're right on.
Yeah, we are the talk of the town. Everybody talks about us like we've become gods to people. But now, again, that's not coming from me. That's coming from some of our followers. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I was going to mention also a dangerous thing about cults is they can be violent, and it seems like it's because of ignorance and the lack of reasoning. Because like what both you guys are pointing out, that these people aren't really thinking for themselves. They're not questioning authority. So, yeah, I mean, I could just stab you because you disagree with whoever, host and colleague. I can just stab you right now. I don't need any rhyme or reason. It's just purely blind faith.
That's hilarious. It's very true.
I'm not telling you guys either to go stab anybody if they disagree with us. That's not what I'm saying. So don't hear me saying that, okay?
No.
I'm not saying you guys should go storm any capitals or anything. I'm not saying that you guys should ask people for money to send to us. I'm not saying any of that, okay? So don't hear me saying any of that.
I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if you guys. Again, I'm probably dating myself, but there was a guy on TV called Soupy Sales who did a kids program. He was kind of a comedian, but he did a kids program in the afternoon called the Soupy Sales Show, and he got in trouble a couple of times. One of them was when he was telling the kids, "Listen, I want you to go into mom and dad's room, get their wallet and purse, take money out, and I want you to send it to this address." I posted the PO box. Yeah, so sometimes I guess you got to be a self-promoter.
Wow. Wonder if anybody did it.
I don't know. I didn't.
I'm responding to a message. So.
You said you didn't?
I didn't.
It sounds awfully incriminating. One thing's for sure, I know I didn't do that. But some people out there did. I know it. Somebody out there did it.
My parents were smart. Hey, my parents were smart. They hid their wallet and purse. I had no idea where it was. So,
right.
Yeah, they were smart.
How'd you know their purse and wallet were hidden? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to
the
respond
statute
to
of
a text.
limitations is passed on that, though. I'm okay.
Well, you're going to be going away for a very long time, jolly old friend.
Hey, wait a second. Hey, wait. Actually,
yep. Understood. Yes, we got him. Go ahead and move
there
in.
you go. See, that's before he got caught. He was
Code Red.
He was doing Coke Zero cans.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be drinking this.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, that's up to you. Coke itself is another thing. Yeah, I mean, so I ran into someone recently. They were telling me about how we should all still be wearing masks and everything, and I was like, man, I feel like that style kind of went out. I don't know. I feel like we're in a different style. Like we're bringing like bell bottoms back, those mustaches. We're bringing all kinds of.
It's
other
all
things.
about the jeans now.
Yeah, the selfish jeans. Was that Sweeney Todd? Taylor Sweeney.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, what's that girl's
name?
name?
That's a completely different thing.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd's Johnny Depp. I like him. What's that girl's name? Sweeney something. Todd Sweeney? Taylor Sweeney?
No, dang it. Sydney Sweeney. Sydney
Sweeney.
Sweeney.
Are you talking about the jeans person?
Yeah, the one that has good jeans.
Good jeans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to respond to something real quick.
I know there was something else I wanted to say earlier, going back to when we were talking about different global situations. I was wondering if any of you guys if you ever play any board games.
Yeah.
You ever played Risk?
Yeah.
Risk? Yeah.
Risk. So, as a gamer, I mean, I'm a big gamer. Board games, RPGs, all kinds of stuff. But it's funny because when I hear about a lot of this geopolitical stuff, I think about a board game, and I think about, well, if I was playing one of these countries on a board game, what would I be doing to and of course, the object of the game is to take care of your country, make sure your country's, the people are in good shape, the economy, everything, you're strong, you're safe. What would I be doing to ensure that for my country? What would I do? What would I be willing to go to? And it makes me think about some of these things that we hear, like it's a big board game. I mean, like, Trump's talking about taking Greenland. Well, I'm looking at that thinking, well, strategically, that would make a lot of sense. And especially if Russia starts causing problems, having, forces in Greenland would help a lot if some kind of warfare broke out. So my brain is always kind of thinking, like, why are they doing what they're doing? Or, I mean, securing the oil down in Venezuela. I mean, all these things don't sit right morally. But if you're sitting at the top and you're thinking, what can I do to secure my country, to secure resources? You're going to have to make some really nasty, ugly calls, I think, that people aren't going to be happy with. But are you looking out for your country at the end of the day? Are you looking out for the people in the country? Are you looking for your power and money? Not so good. But if you do have your country's citizens, best interest at heart, sometimes those calls are tough.
Yeah, I actually think this. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say,
you go first, sir.
I'll just say this real quick. I agree. I always think of the same thing, the Risk board game. When you guys talk about all this political stuff, that's not my field of interest.
I don't know if you're still on, but see you later, Tommy boy.
Oh, yeah. Have a nice life, Tom. Risk. So and secondly, it becomes one of those moral quandaries. Like, are you going to let 5,000 people starve or kill 400 people? You have to unfortunately invade and kill 400 people, take their land, but you get to save 5,000 people. And it seems like the more even people in job situations, when you start becoming higher on the ladder of a corporation, you have to start letting people go for the sake of the corporation as a whole, which sucks because it's like, well, I have to fire 400 people, but it's going to provide food and income for 5,000 people. And so the higher up you go, the more responsibilities you go, and you're always going to have people who hate you and they don't understand. Then you're going to have conspiracy theorists who say, oh, they did this because they don't like me. It's discrimination and all this other stuff. So you have that to deal with.
But there's a presupposition there. See, the contingency is that's on the presupposition that these leaders have the well-being.
Yeah,
because
Ted mentioned that, but they have to, because if you don't take in consideration the company as a whole, it's going to go under, and along with your bank account.
have to by law. You have to, if you're a business, you have to think about the shareholders.
That's right, or suffer.
By law.
That's what I'm saying, or else you will suffer. The law will penalize you.
Yeah,
right?
It's actually illegal.
That's what I'm saying.
Not to make profit. But what I'm saying is they don't have to care about the worker. Like, I'm going to fire 40,000 people and replace them with AI and automation, and I don't care if they all go broke, but my shareholders are going to be happy because we're going to make profits out of the gazoo because we just saved so much overhead. So who cares about these people? Our shareholders, though, they're going to be real happy. We're about to make some profits. The only way that the idea that they're going to be pragmatic for the good of the people is if that they're not binded by the overlords of the shareholders.
Well, let's say Trump actually starts. Let's say he doesn't need people anymore. His kingdom is just a kingdom of robots. Eventually, because the robots replace us. Right. He knows that other kingdoms are still run by people. Venezuela maybe is ran by, and it's a kingdom of robots, and all these different kingdoms of robots are ran by human kings. And he has to know that you're still held accountable to these other kingdoms because they're still human and robot. Whether it's human or robot, you still have everybody's got someone to answer to.
Yeah, but you know what Sam Altman said, and we played the clip. Because when somebody asked him in one of these conferences about eventually the AI being the leaders and the rulers, and he says, there may be a time that's coming that I don't have the answer that can be better than ChatGPT 7 or 8 or 10. Right. And what if the best decision is to say, hey, ChatGPT, you take over? What if the president of the United States doesn't have the answer and the best answer is to say, hey, ChatGPT, you run the country? What if that is the best answer? And so the idea is that by these AI developers, their idea is, today you have your human ruler. But in the future, the best thing is none of us are ruling and AI is ruling everything. That's their idea, their hope.
Well, they're anti-humanist. If you want to be real, if you go to Davos meetings and they talk about they talk about security, they talk about safety, but we're never ever allowed to see what they're doing with their lives, and we're never able to surveil up their ASS, so to speak, just like how they do it to us. So I think that's the separating truth there. Is it in our best interest? Probably not. Is it in their best interest? Yes, because if they were to let us continue on with the internet like we are now, there's a lot of echo chambers, but there's also a lot of things being exposed about these people. They kind of want to stop that. And I think part of the deal of stopping that is, okay, we need to now put IDs on the internet and all this stuff of control that they've been talking about with these special meetings they all attend. Very anti-human. And they talk about how low the birth rate's getting, but then they're going to replace everyone with robots. And it's like, okay, well, then you'll have more time to do what you want. But then you also talk about how I'm never going to be able to go I'm never going to go so far away from my home. I'm going to be eating this certain type of food. I'm only going to be allowed to go to these certain places. I'm only allowed to buy this much clothing. That's kind of what they talk about let's be real here. That's what they're discussing. And so I don't think it's in our best interest when they're telling us we have to do all this stuff while they're sitting there literally building a castle.
Bargain, bro. I got to stop you, man, because I was thinking to myself, I'm sitting here thinking, I was sold on the fact that computers were going to make our lives fantastic. In the future, when we have computers doing everything, we're going to have a life of luxury. We're going to be able to spend so much time relaxing and enjoying hobbies. And look where we're at. Computers and the internet has done nothing but F up our lives. I think we're busier and working harder now and more enraptured with technology than we were back before we had it. And if just putting robots into the mix, it's just going to make things worse. It really is. It's not going to be an advantage to anybody.
I love the enthusiasm.
I was going to say, I love the pessimism. That's where I live. But you guys are going to force me to become optimistic.
I was created, man.
A lot of time.
Same. I'm a pessimistic too, but the optimistic side is being a little ignored here. Like, we are able to save how many lives with AI and technology? How many medicines? Yes, medicines are obviously being abused by the medical companies, but I mean, how many lives have been saved from the doctors?
Well, colleague, it's like any tool. You can take an axe and chop down trees and get wood and make a fire to keep yourself warm to survive. You can take an axe and kill people. Anything that man develops can be used for good or bad, and AI is just another tool. I agree with you. AI is going to give us advances in medicine. A lot of studies, especially in mathematics and physics. They're already coming up with new things.
Being able to talk. Right now, we're talking right now because of technology. And I mean, it's nice. We can share information over wherever we're at, half the world away. And
I agree.
It's like a gun. If we just say, let's get rid of guns because they only produce bad, then
But this is just the first iteration. Like, think about all history. This is what what we're doing right here. They've been doing every set of history. So think about what they were talking about during the times of the Grecian philosophies. Think about what they were talking about during after they destroyed the Library of Alexandria. Every time there's a new thing arising or destruction of a previous thing that had potential, there's always going to be the collective saying, well, you know what's going to happen. And this same conversation, we're just having it now in 2026. This same idea of fears or possibilities have always been happening since the beginning of innovation, whatever it is. You can say the wheel, you could say anything. And so that's one thing you always have to consider to recheck yourself is, this is just our human nature saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm cautious. And that unknown puts this little fear trait in me saying, and who's controlling all of this? But it's always been that way. There's always a power. There's always a government. There's always this head controlling all this resources to innovate. And then it's always the lower class people that are saying, what are they going to do? What am I going to do? Where am I going to be in this system?
Host, you said earlier, these are all ideas, though. At the end of the day, we're just regular people. We're not really going to be able to change anything. The only thing we can do is vote, as far as politics are concerned. But even then, what real impact? You have usually two choices. But I mean, if against the powers that be, we really have very little ability to change things.
Well, imagine if we had a power to vote to have TVs or not. Remember, you probably know this better than anybody, Ted. Didn't Christians or some religious group used to call TVs a demon in a box when they first came out? Wasn't that a thing? They called it a demon in a box or something. But then some televangelists came on it, and then it popularized that. Once they got into the religious circles, then everybody accepted it because it was like, well, and then you have the televangelists who really exploited that.
Kind of ruined,
Well, but if they would have gave us though a choice, if America would have said, all right, guys, let's vote on whether we should have TVs or not. What if everybody said no? We wouldn't be able to talk right now. Again, we wouldn't have any information being passed to everybody.
Think about. I'm sorry, just one quick thought. Think about when we had the with the alcohol back in the 20s.
Oh, prohibition.
Prohibition didn't work. Prohibition didn't work at all. As a matter of fact, prohibition is probably one of the biggest causes for organized crime in this country. So no good came of it at all. But you could see what happens when you try to, stop things or try to make things illegal. It just, people are going to find a way to get it. They're going to find a way to I mean, just like guns. That's such a good example. If you outlaw guns, tell me people aren't still going to have guns. Of course they will. Outlawing things won't settle a problem. You got to find the root cause of it.
You don't think there should be any restrictions? Like, you think we should all have access to uranium?
There should be balance.
Uranium doesn't exist.
You know what's funny? I have this. I got to show you this sticker. Yeah, legalize recreational plutonium. Yeah, that's going on my car. Anyway,
legit.
What were you gonna say, Oregon, bro?
I said it just sounds like there needs to be more of a balance with a lot of stuff, and obviously, yeah, I mean, for example, I mean, they didn't tell us how addictive this technology was going to be, but obviously the people developing it knew. That's why Steve Jobs was very adamant not letting his kids use the phones and use the technology, and making his kids do other academic things. And a lot of these guys, these tech guys, coming up, that's what they did with their children, and it's just because they knew well before we all did. And all I'm saying is, now that we know this, now that we've bit into this apple, so to speak, we just have to find balance now with it. And now we have new technology, new information, new knowledge. We need to figure out how to use it for either your benefit or your disadvantage. And a lot of people choose to take the disadvantage around it because dopamine is super addictive. And the people who develop these algorithms have got it down to a T. Because it's part of the advancement with the technology is who's ever at the top is going to want to profit more and to centralize it more. Despite if they don't believe in a free society or not, they might believe in a free society, but not for you, but for them. And so I think that's the thing we have to recognize is, hey, can we start decentralizing some of this and come off this sledge, come create our own processes?
Well, let's take that for consideration, Oregon, bro. If you were given information by a dream or some vision and it was game changing, and then you tested it and you said, you know what, this wasn't crazy thinking. It actually works on a small scale. And then you got it tested and it can work on a large scale. And it's ground changing, world changing.
It's world breaking.
What are you going to do with it? Are you going to give it to everyone?
That's a good question. It also probably depends the type of person you are, first of all. It really does.
You.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah. I would, if it was safe and it was something that didn't corrupt anybody's morals.
See, that's the problem right there.
You
can't balance. Control the intentions of anybody else. You might have good intentions, but all it takes is a couple bad actors. Like, AI has a lot of good potential. Put it in a couple bad actors, and this is why you have these crazy ideas of what could go bad. But, yeah, if everybody could have good intentions, but all it takes is somebody taking that ground world-changing idea and saying, well, what if I did this with it? I could control the world. It's Pinky in the Brain.
Supervillain.
Yeah, it's CIA. And that's the CIA. There's a guy, like, again, people in power are the ones, whatever new technology gets exposed, whoever makes it. I'm not sure if they can decentralize it before the CIA buys them out. I don't know how.
Well, that's why the issue is decentralization is good, but the problem is decentralization isn't bias. Decentralization is universal. That means bad actors too, and bad actors will corrupt the decentralized benefit because they're going to find a way to monopolize that, and eventually. Now we're going to have to capitulate back to centralized or put a prison on it because we have to prevent the bad actors. So this is a cycle. Yeah. You can open it all day you want, but you can't get rid of the pathological.
Yeah, if you look at the world's first hoverboard in Back to the Future, the one who created that had good intentions with it. It's like, wow, kids are going to play with this. But then, and they did. But then you have Biff and his friends come along, and they're bad actors. And they misuse these hoverboards against Marty.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Tommy Boy, he says, why don't we discuss things that would benefit the audience in a tangible way?
We are.
We should be discussing how to increase our wealth in this world, shifting events that we are experiencing. That's good. I got a bridge to sell for you. It's the one that everybody went over to in Brooklyn, hoping to get New Year's fireworks. But when they all went there, there was no fireworks. But I got a bridge to sell you.
You're spoiling some surprises.
Yeah, well, they'll see it.
Yeah, well,
hey, Tom, I was going to say to Tom, sometimes it's just for entertainment. You know what I mean? It's just fun.
Yeah, a lot of this is very entertaining. All this stuff going on in the world is super entertaining, and I didn't choose to try to get in a position to put myself anywhere to try to enact any physical change, because honestly, I didn't think there was a point. And let me be clear, not because I didn't think I could do anything. It's just the way it's been. I was nearly 18 around this time when I made this decision, and just seeing how politics is playing out and everything, I'm like, it's just a game.
Well, Tom, if you believe that the stock market and all of it's fake, what do you want me to invest in? It's too late to invest in gold, too late to invest in silver. I can't afford invest in Raytheon because, I should have done that. Like, if I knew about all this stuff, before the Russian war, that would have been great. I mean, I feel like I'd be like a snake oil salesman if I start telling people stuff now. Like, I could tell you all kinds of things about how to invest, what to invest, how to, maximize this. Let's maximize. Oh, there's this Venezuelan thing. Oh, corporations are going to be maximizing now. Oil over here. The Permian Basin is running dry. So what does that mean? You're seeing now very low of the housing inside West Texas. So what is that implying? Is that the reason for Venezuela? Like, I can go down this road forever.
Well, what's snake
oil? But then what happens is it's like, and now somebody goes into that and they buy all this stuff and they do what I say and it doesn't work out. And I was like, yeah, well, you know what? Life's a risk.
I want to speak from personal experience on that. I watched Alex Jones for like 2 years, and it was just because all the other media I didn't understand the internet really, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how decentralized media worked. I didn't really know that was a thing. I mean, yeah, I knew Alex Jones was around. To me, it was just a meme. But then I started watching him. And he's like, and then this, and this, and then this, and then this. And then I started to realize that it's just he's rage baiting, like emotional grifting, and he's like, and some things obviously didn't come true. And he's like, "Oh, I'm glad we spoke up because look what happened. We stopped it. We stopped these globalists. We're winning." And obviously, that's not true. He's working for the CIA. I'm sorry, everybody. If you like Alex Jones, he's bought out. It's period. So it took me a while to realize.
We're gonna have Tom on next week. We're gonna have this segment. It's gonna be financial advice with Tommy Goy, and
but
he's gonna let us all know. Hey, I got a little bit to play with. I got like $5 for a scratch off ticket here and there. So, You let me know. You're gonna have this segment next week, but you're gonna have to be committed. You're gonna have to be committed, Tommy. But we want to, because you're right. We're all like-minded individuals. Why wouldn't we discuss things that could make us money? Yeah, this sounds like the perfect introduction to the segment.
That's true.
I just
honestly, yeah.
I just find my mom's purse and I just pilfer it.
No. Look,
right, Ted?
I tried to
you taught me that.
Absolutely.
You taught me that.
I didn't have enough.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to put my address up on the screen in a moment. I just want everyone to send contributions to the TED Fund. It's all going to go to charity.
All right. So Tommy Boy's making it clear. He's not talking about investing. So what are you talking about? How are we going to make this money? See, maybe you shouldn't tell us.
Oh, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about hoverboards.
No, he's talking about sending him money through Cash App.
Yeah, for his hoverboard invention. And I'm all for it. But Tom, if I can call you that, Tommy, whatever your name is, hoverboards will be used by bad actors. They will be.
Yeah, on indie films.
The stock market's being used by bad actors. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's be real.
The stock market's like a really bad horror flick.
Snake oil's through the roof right now, and I should have invested in it a long time ago.
Well, I guess it depends on who you're asking.
Pet rocks in the 80s, so.
What's that?
Hey, I got a question. Oh.
I said people bought pet rocks in the 80s.
I know.
They bought rocks. So
I remember pet rocks.
There's still a thing in my era, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I want Tommy Boy to come on next week. He's going to tell us he's not investing. So, we're not financial advisors. Do not take anything we say as financial advice. That's a disclaimer. Don't do anything we say. But you could, but don't. And Tommy Boy's scheming in the new world, like, I don't know, selling shovels during a gold rush. That's good. Yep. That's the preface.
I agree. That's where we should be right now. We should try to sell some shovels.
All right. Well, you're going to tune in this Saturday, and you're going to see a shovel That colleague is going to show you being used, and you'll decide if you want to sell that shovel. It's clear. Like if you tune in this Saturday, you will see a shovel.
Please, you're embarrassing me.
And you can decide if you want to sell it.
I can only imagine what this video is. It's always groundbreaking every time.
Well, it's a psyop.
I think Tom's going to try to get us to plan a bank heist.
I don't know what it is, but Tommy Boy's going to come on next week.
Ocean 4.
And he's going to tell us how to make this money.
We're going to be a part of Tommy's documentary.
Hey, he's going to make us money.
That's good. I'm all about it.
I do want to finish what I was saying about Alex Jones real quick. All I'm saying is I got caught up in that for a couple of years, but I'm glad I did. I learned quite a few things, and I was able to grow out of that. But I realized like it's that simple for you to get in a thing, and you just be totally, this is it. This is the truth. This is everything. Because that's the way I looked at it for long. And I had a lot of people around me. I don't know if that's true. I think he might be actually working for the CIA, which I thought was hilarious because I would tell people, I'm like, no, he's not working for the deep state or whatever, but I'm glad I was able to step outside. My life got a lot better.
Who are you listening to now?
Me, you guys, people who left it.
Of course, that's off top. I mean, of course, come on.
I've evolved. I listen to a lot of people. I'm not centralizing my information anymore. I'm outreaching in many different places because I think that's the most important thing to do. And I only have control over my life and what I have the ability to do, and that's all I'm focused on. I would like to have bigger things to be changed. That's great and all, but that's all in God's hands, and that's our politicians if they want to change.
Well, no, it's actually in Tommy Boy's hands.
Oh,
because
Tommy,
he's going to tell us how to get the results.
Yes.
As he said, I said discuss things that have tangible results rather just entertaining ourselves. So instead of playing with ourselves, we're going to have real results. And Tommy Boy's going to lead the way. And I'm here for it. I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I can get that coin, and I'm not talking about Bitcoin, but if I can get that coin, and if Tommy Boy can lead the way, I'm all about it. So it just depends on what shovels he's selling because, shovels come in different flavors. But I'm here for it. But Tommy's going to have to do it. Yeah, he's going to have to come on next week and do it. But that's all the time we have for this week. It was enjoyable as always. Appreciate you guys coming on the live and Tommy Boy making it entertaining. He said he had to leave, but he couldn't just get away. It's too good. It's like you saying tangible, but you're back again because it's the good stuff. This is the good stuff.
Getting cold feet for the wedding.
But I appreciate all you guys. And one wise word from David Zerm: use Prize Picks to gamble your life away. That is.
Don't forget Klarna. Cover all your price.
I was going to talk about Polymarket. I didn't on this episode. What was interesting is right before they came to Venezuela, somebody on Polymarket, there was a big bet on if they were going to get, how fast they were going to get them. And somebody made a lot of money. So everybody's betting on anything. It's like, oh, yeah, are they going to go in there? Are they going to get in 4 hours? They're going to get in 8 hours? Hey, you can go bet over in Polymarket if you want.
Tommy's saying that I guess we could liken these to a conference call if he brings the heat.
Yeah.
Tommy. But he's got to bring it.
Yeah. Well, I want you to commit. Come on, and we're going to have making money great again. MMGA with Tommy Boy. I like that.
For me, it's just going to be making money again, so it's MMA.
Yeah, that's true. That's true for a lot of us. But anyways, I appreciate you all tuning in as always, and we will see you guys next week. As always, that's Colleague. I'm host, and I appreciate everybody chiming in.
And Ted and Organ Bro. Yeah. Wow, look at this. Wow. You changed Organ Bro.
Yeah, you almost like Tom.
That's what happens when you stop listening to Alex Jones.
Yeah, no, you actually become a new man.
Become smart.
I appreciate all you guys. I'll see you guys next week.
See ya.